Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October live demo of the Watercolor Aficionados. And this morning I have Michelle and Nina with me. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Nina.
Good morning! Good morning, everyone!
Good morning.
So for this month, we are going to have our usual member and subscriber giveaway, but please give me until Monday to post these items. But we are sure that we are going to give away three of the ceramic palette and three Paul Rubens watercolor paper for the three best paintings for this month. So we're going to have the three process videos on Google Classroom. That's October 16, October 16, 23, and 30. So for October 16, we'll have Changing Leaves by Brushstrokes by Michelle, which is the one you can see over here. And then in the middle at my back, let me see, there we go. We have Decidous Trees by Nina Hidalgo. And of course, on October 30th, we're going to have Trees in the Park by yours truly. So that's what we have for the entire month of October. So I hope you can join us exploring the beautiful colors of autumn. So now we're going to start away with the demo and we will have Nina. Hello, Nina. But first, let's welcome our um, subscribers in the Zoom room. Hello, everybody. Hello, Villia. And the others might be coming in later or they are in the Facebook Live. So I will see everyone there. But for now, I'm going to go over Nina. So Nina, I will spotlight you. Hi, Nina.
Hello. Thank you so much, Beth. I'll start the demo for today and I'll turn on the other camera. I forgot. Okay. So what I will be showing you is a quick demo on how to paint the Decidous tree. So we're gonna have a lot of falling leaves on this autumn tree. Okay. First, I hope that you already have sketched the trunk. No need to get the actual leaves because we're gonna be doing that using simple stroke using a dagger brush. So the brushes that we'll be using are dagger brush, a liner, or just the dagger brush because it has, a pointy tip. And deer foot, or if you do have like a toothbrush to scatter, that's what we are going to use. But I'm going to be using this deerfoot for today because I don't have any spare brush to use at the moment. And of course, um, these beautiful brushes from Gift Box from Beth. What else? We are going to be using as well. For the first time, I used masking fluid. It was just an experiment. And I think it um, gave beautiful highlights. So we're going to be using masking fluid. What else? The color that we are going to focus on are we have cadmium yellow, burnt sienna. If you have um, alizarin crimson, which I don't have anymore, so I'll just replace it with quinacridone red of white night, cobalt blue, black, or if you do have gray, because I really wanted to use gray, but since I don't have it, I just use I just use black and um, add a lot of water. Sepia, so those are the colors that we'll be using. I already have placed them in my palette from gift box as well. And of course, your watercolor paper. This is 100% cotton, I think. Yes, it is. Um, you may use at least 200 GSM if you don't have 100% cotton or 300 GSM. So at least 200 GSM. So this is the sketch. I have only sketched the trunk because as I said, we'll be just making the leaves. I'm sorry, I am distracted by this little human. Okay, I'm just gonna turn off my main camera because he will. Okay, okay. Now I will be focusing on my desk since it's on spotlight already. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so this is already our sketch. I'll just um, darken the other areas that I need to darken. He is a little bit extra today, so please bear with me. Okay, I decided sketch sketch it already so we can save time. And for our subscribers, I have sent this over to our group chat. I hope you are able to see it. But for those who are watching on Facebook Live, you may actually wanna screenshot, take a screenshot if you do want. So this is just our sketch. I think I have painted something like this in the past, like 2 years ago when I was uh starting. We painted something like this, but it was like it's not a full grown tree yet. And I remember using some of the same colors. So I got inspired by that old artwork of mine, and then I realized that um, I have incorporated some techniques that I learned from a book, which I had years ago. I forgot the title. I think it is the Encyclopedia of the Practical Encyclopedia of Watercolors, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is the Practical Encyclopedia of Watercolors. So yeah, that is a very very nice book. Let's go ahead and start. We're gonna be using our dagger brush. So when you use it, I recommend that um, what do you call this? The position of your brush or the bristles is like this. The longer bristles um, is the one nearest to you. Okay, so yeah, let's mix some cadmium yellow. Give me a moment. I'll clean up a space in here so I can place our cadmium yellow. I make so many bodies. Okay, I already have cadmium yellow here. And before I forget, I'm so sorry. I said I will be using masking fluid. So let's just place masking fluid first before we actually begin. You may use a brush that you are no longer using for painting. So this I'm no longer using for painting because the bristles are not fine anymore. Fine. There are my side. And from my imagination, my light source is from the left. So I'll be placing some highlights on some parts on the left side of our um what do you call this? Branches and the trunk. So since this is placed like this, I'm gonna place it on top of the branches. I never knew that it is so exciting to use masking fluid. So I am enjoying it so much. Now this is my third time to use it. Ang pride ko pa before because I really don't wanna. It's in my cart, but I'm not checking it out because ang pride ko. I wanna finish the candle that I'm using. to
Also
resist
that
watercolors, pero since I already have it, why not use it, right? Okay.
masking fluid Nina is colored pink. That's why you can see it.
Yes. I was afraid nga at first na paano ko makikita eh. But then again, it's ano pala, parang pinkish pinkish. So, yun. Just give me a moment because my daughter is getting all my brushes here. Just 20 seconds, I'm sorry.
No more brush for Nina because somebody took over. Hello, Nisi. Good morning. While Nina is getting her brushes from her little, very naughty little girl, we are posting the reference photo for the next, for my demo later. And also, for Michelle, you don't need to because we're gonna use the brush. Ayan, are you back, Nina? Are you?
I'm back.
Yay!
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we're just gonna wait for it to dry. I'm just gonna use this paper towel. So prepare paper towel as well, just to remove excess um water from your brush. All right. So I think it has already. It is still drying. So let's just wait for a couple more seconds. So while we are waiting, I'm just gonna dilute our cadmium yellow. At this point, um, we're gonna be doing dry on wet technique. Sorry, wet on dry. Wet on dry meaning of course your watercolor is on your brush and then your paper is dry. I'll just show you quickly while we are waiting for it to dry. Um, what I did first was to lay down the cadmium yellows in parts that, in my imagination, since this is our light source, so cadmium yellow is the lightest color that we have in the palette. So we're going to be using that as, highlight of our tree. And of course, um, it represents as well, autumn. So, and to intensify that, we're going to be using burnt sienna on wet, using wet on wet technique. So after placing the cadmium yellow, we're gonna wet the paper and then place our burnt sienna, and then we can go over the trunk and start placing whatever at the bottom. Which I forgot, I should have also placed something at the bottom. So let's just do that quickly before we actually begin. Sorry, I got too excited and distracted at the same time. So at the bottom, you might wanna glide your brush upright for our um, grasses. This is gonna look um, amazing, right? Later, not right now. Later, when you actually peel off or erase the masking fluid, because we're gonna put some background for it to stand out. So there you go. We're just gonna wait for that to dry. I think the one I placed onto the branches are already dried, so it's perfect. It's time to place our cadmium yellow on. This is wet and dry. So the reason I am actually recommending for you to position your brush like this, the longer tip inwards or the nearest one to you, is because you're gonna be able to like take advantage of the pointy tip. Uh, I'll just show you quickly here. It effortlessly, it effortlessly makes easy stroke, easily stroke. So there you go. That's the reason why. I'll just dilute more cadmium yellow here. Sorry, I gotta be used to diluting a lot na para flavor out. Put it here. Okay. When I loaded the watercolor or the diluted cadmium yellow onto my brush, it is actually um like it's not really cream consistency, but almost in that consistency. That's why it dried up so fast. And on my end as well, I'm in front of the window, so ang hangin ay effortless din. So it has dried so quickly. We can actually wet the the area where we are going to place the leaves. So I'm just going to be using this brush. If it hasn't really fully dried up, the cadmium yellow, that's all right. It will just fuse with the water. But if it's really still wet, please wait
Darling.
for a few
Paano to
seconds.
lakasan? Lakasan?
I'm sorry.
Okay
Sorry,
na,
I thought.
Nina.
Okay. All right. So I just wetted the area where I will place the leaves. And actually, not touch my brush. Just later, I will let you borrow. Okay. It's not happy. Okay. Now we are going to grab our burnt sienna, and excuse me, our burnt sienna. And since our paper is wet, we're just gonna drop it. Okay, onto excuse me, onto our paper. Sorry about. I think he inhaled my coffee. Oh. So when you actually place your burnt sienna, you just let it uh flow, go with the flow with the water since it's wet, and that's the actual look that we are kind of achieving, the wet and wet look. Oh, now I actually forgot to mention, but I hope that you haven't, that you did not get very lightly, because if it's light, the sketch might be erased by the colors. So might as well use 4B pencil. Okay. We're gonna do the falling leaves in a bit when we actually place some um, background. Okay, and it's gonna be nice as well if you extend the leaves up to the point na dry. Let's say this, I did not wet this, but I'm gonna, place some loose leaves. That's perfectly fine. Okay, we're just gonna um, dilute something. Let's see. I have my sepia, so that's what we're gonna use. Let me just grab a round brush just to mix because it's it's challenging to use dagger to mix. Okay, I'm just mixing. This is my um what do you call this? Sepia, and I'll put a little bit of my cobalt blue, just a little bit. Oh, it actually makes really tiny difference only, but at least it's not that dark when you add a little bit of cobalt. Oh, and that's what we're gonna be using for the trunk. It's uh, it looks like a what color is it? It's actually sepia, but when you add cobalt blue, it gives a different shade. It makes like ano, parang what do you call that? Sea bark brown, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Something like that. Yung kakatingin mo sa Pantone colors, nakakabisado mo na yung pangalan ng color sa Pantone. Oh, the first layers are actually not that dark yet, so you might just wanna add more onto the areas that you darkened earlier. So this is what I'm talking about. My sketch over here got already erased by my um, watercolors, which um, I don't see anymore, but I think I would be able to see it later when it actually dries up. Now for the branches, you might wanna check if it is dry na. Okay. Once it dries, you can definitely add the same mixture onto those branches. But if it's still too wet, it will just fuse with the um, first layer, so might as well wait for it to dry up. So right now, it is still a bit wet, but I don't think it would, use with the first layers that I did. So I am going to follow my sketch and start to paint the graphic. Okay. And this is what I like about dagger as well, because you get to control your um, stroke depending on how heavy the pressure is. You'll be able to make, thin and thick stroke effortlessly because of its irregular shape. And of course, we're gonna be having ano pala, live selling on October 29, and we have a few um, dagger brushes. So if you want to join, please check out our page and now. Okay, at this point, I can no longer see the sketch that I did. So this is what I'm telling you to make sure your sketch can still be seen after you have placed your leaf. But that's okay. I still can remember it. Okay, now I'm just going to intensify the areas that I darkened earlier. Oh, I'm not sure what do you call that, but there's this ano ripple, no? The tree, the texture of the some have the circular pattern. I'm not sure if you call that ripples as well. So it's actually nice if you place something like that onto the trunk of your tree. So it gives the actual look. I also did some textures on the body, so might as well use the tip of the bristle to follow the strokes that we did earlier. Okay, I think I'm gonna wipe more brush strokes in a while when it has already dried up. But for now, let's just keep it like that. Since our tree has the leaf has completely dried, we're just gonna be adding a few colors. This is gonna be a wet on dry technique. Since the paper has already dried, I'm just loading my brush with burnt umber. Make sure that your brush is not too wet, because if it is, you know, the water will just burst on your paper, and we actually don't like that at this point. So we're just gonna be adding a few textures on our tree. Of course, we wanna leave the look like that, but I'm just gonna intensify the dark part. Okay. Now I think I just need to like wet some parts because I think it's too light. Okay, let me just wet it a bit and add our burnt sienna over there. Okay, now if you do have your alizarin crimson, or in my case, it's quinacridone red, be ready to dilute that wonderful color. And we're gonna place it right under this area, just to break the two colors. And I think um you can see a bit of quinacridone in autumn. Well, that's what I see. So if the strokes are, too hard, you might want to soften that using a clean brush. Oh, I did a place it there. Oh, I'm just adding it to this side. This is okay. So many people calling me right now. All right. Okay. You really cannot recreate the painting, ano? I'm trying to recreate what I've done like days ago. Now I don't think I can, so
It's
we'll leave
very
it like
nice.
that. Thank you. Now, as I said, we're gonna be what do you call this? Adding another layer onto our tree on the branches. Branches. So I'm just making quick stroke sa baba part of the branches. And in here sa right, because the light is from, so it's one area. Alright. Now let's wait for it to dry and let's do the baba. Same process. We're gonna start with cadmium yellow. Like randomly place it the bottom, and of course our um, burnt sienna. Okay, and we're gonna be mixing a bit of, if you do have gray, pure gray, and a bit of cobalt blue, but I'll be using um, black, this lamp black, since I don't have that gray. So of course, we're rooting for grayish color. We're gonna put a lot of water. I'll just use my round brush to mix and place and add our cobalt blue. Okay, it is really a nice color. I think there's a name color for this, but I'm not sure. So just mix your either black or gray. If you're using gray, perfect. You can just mix cobalt blue, more gray. But if you're using black, a little bit black and more cobalt blue. Okay, and then we're gonna wet the background area. Tina, why are we adding background? Because I added masking to it, and I wanted to do that little white stroke back. So we're gonna be adding something. Just parang misty um, background. Okay, someone is calling. He's saying Lazada, and I'm afraid he's gonna call my name in a bit. I hope not. Okay, and let's start that. All right, and we're just gonna intensify that mixture. Um, just gonna add a bit more black, a bit black, and your cobalt blue. Let's put together. So when I say intensify, we're just going to darken it a bit because our background needs some strong, misty background with silhouette. But we're gonna put it a little bit later on because it's still very wet, and I don't want to, ruin what I have made there. So at this point, we're gonna um, add a few things at the bottom using our burnt sienna. What we will be doing later is to add the silhouette of the trunk at the background, and using our dagger, the pointy tip, make some random grasses, make some more random grasses. Okay, now let's just pretend that the wind is going there then. Sun, the wind, lahat pa ganon. So, deciduous tree, no? So we're gonna need falling leaves. See that effortless, ano, stroke. That's why I really love dagger brush when it comes to botanical painting, and it's actually uh, one of the few times I've used to paint a tree. So let's have a variety of color. I'm going to using cadmium yellow as well, and a little bit of our quinacridone. Uy, ang haba ng pigment. Napahaba. Okay, you might wanna place some more leaves later on here and here, pero swaying pa right para yung wind flow is, consistent. So I think it's still wet, the background, but we can now place the silhouette. The street silhouette at back. I think I made it too dark. Yeah, that's okay. A little bit dark, but that's okay. Oh, hindi pa pantay. Saan napunta? Oh, there. I'll just soften this para consistent sa ating effect. All right. Now I'm gonna be still using the same brush, loaded with your burnt sienna, and we're just gonna be using the tip of your dagger to make those thin random strokes here at the bottom. It doesn't require you to actually place a lot. Just place it randomly. Okay. I think I'm gonna be adding a little bit of sepia at the bottom to break the two colors and to give a little bit of volume. Okay, now let's place some more leaves. Since it's still wet, it might just fuse with um, your background. So wait for it to dry a little bit more. So, so I just think I wanted to do something on the branches. I wanted to get more. So I'm using liner, but you can still use the dagger. The reason why I showed you the liner is because if you're not comfortable with your dagger brush, for the tip, using the tip, you can actually use the liner. Okay, at this point, you can already see the areas where we place the masking fluid, and it's really, really, really cute. Okay, pagbigyan nyo kasi first time ko gumamit ng masking tape. Really nice. And if you want super thin, like twigs, if you're gonna be doing the twigs, better yet, use na lang liner if you're more comfortable. My hand is a little bit shaky. Intensifying something there. Okay, sabi ko yung light nandun, tapos yung trunk ko madilim dito. Lagyan natin ng konting leaves para kunyari natakpan siya, no? Okay, because I am a little bit bothered by that. Okay. Nag-contradict pala. Okay, and the last, no, second to the last is we're going to be using your deer foot, or if you don't have this, um, what is the other, ano, tawag sa deer foot, Beth? I forgot. Like the general tawag for this kind of brush. So yeah, there is a,
And ano ang tawag namin dyan, teddy bear brush
okay, something like that.
Kasi
Mas,
pang
ano
collage
parang,
ka.
oo, parang yung deer foot ay kay Princeton, no?
Deerfoot is the tamang term.
Ah, okay.
Deerfoot.
Can you guys, sorry, can you guys give me a minute? I think my husband is knocking on the door. Sorry. Just one second. Sorry.
Okay, so that was Nina's demo while Nina is attending to the what the doorbell that she had right now in her house. She has used the foliage brush or a deerfoot brush, which is very nice for stippling. So it's a stiffer brush and it has short bristles. That's why you can really use that for the foliage of the trees. Are you back, Nina?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry. A lot of commercials today. Sorry. It's grocery day kasi. Okay, so using your foot paint, but um, wet it and then grab your what color is this? Burnt sienna. Not too wet, okay. Just the right amount of wet, meaning it is not dripping. So you might want to use your finger and make the spattering technique. You can easily spatter para we can have the look na to support the falling leaves effect. And we're gonna grab some more quinacridone. If you have crimson, you can use that. No more yellow, just burnt sienna and our quinacridone. Might not see how it looks like, but on my end, it has actually a lot of tiny dots, which I am aiming for. Okay, and at this point, we're gonna erase the masking fluid. Exciting. Okay, you can actually use your finger, but since I have this, why not use it? Why not use it? Okay, that's the actual main reason why we have to put a misty background so our masking fluid can stand out. Okay. Happy.
Wow, gamit na gamit lahat.
Okay ba?
Yes.
And you can get these wonderful items. Ay, ba? Kanino pa ba? We have palettes and many more. Brushes and many more. So that is our deciduous tree. This is the first one that I did. Darker pala yung nagawa ko ngayon, which I like kasi I tend to be, ano ba, my style is always parang pale. So I'm happy when
Uh,
I see my
yeah,
my
actually
artwork.
natuwa nga ako niya.
Oh, thank
Pero
you.
baka
Yan.
it will lighten pa in a while. Kasi 'di ba fresh pa siya. Normally,
Oo, medyo
it
fresh pa.
lightens a few pa after it fully dries eh.
Oh, let's wait. But I think it's
Oo.
darker, mga 2%.
Oo.
Mga 2%. So that's it. I hope you learned something from it. And on my demo, I will be showing you how to, I'll be teaching you how to paint. Asan na yun?
Let's
Sa
start
likod lang
with,
pala. How
ayan,
to paint.
yan. This is
Uh,
for the Google Classroom subscriber.
yes.
This
The
will be on,
autumn tree.
wow, nakadalawa ka na kaagad, gosh.
Of course.
This will be on October 23. The process video for Nina's Autumn Trees, Deciduous Trees will be on October 23. So, yung mga makikipaint for for the best painting, can I for our subscribers, you can paint the deciduous trees, and for our members, you can try to paint the demo by Nina today. So yan. Also, please remember we're gonna have a Boodle night on October 29th, 7 p.m. That's a Friday. I hope you can attend and let's see what our tindahan has to offer. She's having
Yay.
a clearance sale. That's the reason for the live selling. Also, October is the best time to buy and prepare gifts for our friends this Christmas. So, if you are planning to give away some gifts for your artsy friends, that October 29 is one of the best days to gift items to some of your friends and to yourself as well. Yan. So let's see if we have painters, no? We have Billy and we have Glenn who's painting with us today. I know actually some of the
Wow.
subscribers are in the Facebook Live. I really don't know why they like FB Live than Zoom. Okay, so they are in the FB Live. So if you have your painting, you can send it in the group chat so we can try to show what others have. I mean the people here, the audience here watching, you can see their paintings when they painted along with Nina. And
Yay.
if there's none, okay,
Not
I will
yet.
wait for a few minutes.
It's early kasi, di ba usually they have their breakfast pa lang. Parang
Yeah.
warm up.
Pero
Ay,
this one,
also, Beth,
yes.
yes, ano, I wanna remind everybody pala, uh, ayan, di ba nakalimutan ko i-remind ko sa inyo? Okay, yun, naalala ko na. I wanna remind everyone to join our hashtag WCA 1K giveaway on Watercolor Aficionados group. Parang konti pa lang yung nakita ko. You might have missed the announcement. So please do check the announcements that we have in the group. We have a lot, really a lot of giveaways. So you might want to take advantage of that. But just by sharing your artwork for the month. Actually, it runs from it started September hanggang December yung WCA giveaway natin. So please do check it out on the announcement. Um,
Also,
we will.
probably we can repost it, Nina, so that everyone can see it again.
Okay, let's
Oo.
review that.
Oo. Or let's comment there para umakyat ulit in the group chat.
Yeah,
Oo.
yun lang. Just want
Ayan,
to
by
remind.
Lily sent her tree in the group.
Ooh.
Kaya pareho kami ng puno ni Billy. Ganyan din ako magpuno. Maganda rin yung trail niya.
Nasa GC natin to.
Oo, subscriber, watercolor GC.
Yun lang yung.
Ako, would you like me to share?
Yes, please.
Okay. Wait
Kakachat
lang,
ng
baka kung ano
ating
na naman
mama.
makita nila. Wait lang. Ay, nako. There we go. Okay, and now we are ready to share. There we go, Nina. This is Billy's work for
Oh,
now.
okay. Oh, I can still see the cat. Oh, yes. Okay. I think ano, add ko lang na um, wet and dry sa ating bird skin for the parts that have already para lang magkaroon pa ng a little bit volume and at the bottom. But it's nice.
Ano yun, Nina? Medyo mahina.
Ay, sorry,
Good
sorry. How
thing.
about this?
Yes, better,
Okay
better.
na. I better. Natakpan ko pala yung mic.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, it's cute, it's nice. I think you just need to add or intensify the areas that you have already intensified. Yung dark areas, medyo leaves tayo dun ng leaves, konting leaves. Well, loose leaves. And then the trunk, if kaya pa mahabol, yung um, dark side, ayan, yung dark areas, kung kaya pang mahabol. Para hindi kitang-kita yung pagkaka-outline ng, yung stroke pa. I-soften natin ng clean brush with a little water. Yes, that's it. But yeah, it's nice. Beauty. I'm not sure which brush you use. I think it's the brush.
Si Billy kasi yan takot mag-dark.
Oo,
Oo,
ganyan
tingnan mo,
talaga.
tumatawa si Billy. Billy takot mag-dark yan eh. So here, darken, soften pa the edges. Tapos ito no, we try to wet this part and add the blue color or dagdagan na lang ng orange or yellow, no?
Yes.
Para matanggal yung parang cut out.
Yes, correct.
Yan. And then, ito nga sabi ko, takot pa si Billy. Pwede ka pang, parang first set, 2 washes pa lang to Billy. Pwede ka pang mag-add ng oranges, no?
Yes, please.
Oo, over here, para magkaroon pa siya ng volume. Yan.
Ah, yung shadow pala yun na yun, shadow ng kamay niya kasi pinicturean niya.
Oo, parang ang heart.
Parang heart.
Oo, yung in the heart. Galing.
Ang
Okay.
cute.
There,
Ay,
Billy.
nasa-zoom pala si Billy.
Yan, dyan si Billy.
Narinig ko yung tawa niya.
Mahina din ang mic ni Billy eh. Palagi kong pinapalakasan. Hindi ko alam kung ako yung bingi talaga or...
May diferensya ho.
Ayan, ayan, Billy. Move the mic closer to you para
Yes, yes. I don't know.
Ayan,
I
ganyan.
don't know how to use.
Yan, we can hear you
Yes
now.
po. Yes po, ma'am.
Yan. So,
Actually, I don't have some of the colors teacher Nina was mentioning, so I just use Assure Blue and ganun.
ayan.
Mm.
Billy is using the Sonnet watercolor. Kabisado ko yung colors niya.
Nice, but the colors are kinda similar din naman. So,
I tried to use the most similar na lang
closer.
po. Yes, closer.
Very good, Billy. So,
Very
dyan,
good.
in the sonnet set that you have, ano yung wala ka? Yung medyo
Yung
reddish to
Cobalt.
browny,
blue, cobalt, and
indigo blue?
indigo
May
blue
burnt,
also.
may burnt ba dun sa
Burnt
body?
sienna meron po.
Meron burnt
Okay.
sienna.
Yes.
For cobalt blue, you can mix
Cadmium yellow, I don't have po.
you can mix, for cadmium yellow, you mix your lemon, and yung yellow orange, Billy, mix mo yon.
Actually, I used the yellow medium na lang po.
Oh, yon. Pwede.
Oh,
Pwede.
yes.
Yon. Yellow
With
medium.
with orange.
And then also, for your blue, yung cobalt blue, mix mo yung ultramarine and your phthalo blue para magkaroon ka ng mid blue.
I see, I see.
Yon. And then, ano pa problema mo sa kulay, dear?
Ano pa yung quinacridone?
Quinacridone
What is
red.
that?
Okay, the quinacridone red, siya, you can use your pinkish red, the one there.
Pinkish,
Yung carmine. Carmine
Carmine.
and yeah, carmine. That's a pinkish
Ah,
red.
that one. Yes. So
Okay.
I did not use that po in the ano.
O, di ba?
Mm.
Kabisado ko yung palette ni Willie. Okay, there you go. So, yun,
Right.
add pa. More pigment, less water, ha? Para magkaroon ng
Yes, ma'am.
volume. Okay.
Yes po. Thank
There.
you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, Billy.
Thank
Teacher
you.
Nina, ito pa kay Susan. Ito na naman tayo.
Hi, Susan!
Nasa ano siya? Nasa Facebook Live pa siya. Wala pa siya sa Zoom.
Hello! Nice! Uy, alam mo yung unang tingin ko, parang may napasa akong Chinese character. Ang galing. Doon sa taas. Parang may Chinese character.
Malayo
Nakakagaling.
na naman ikaw sa mic.
Ay, sorry. Nabitawan ko kasi.
Yan. Yan.
Hi, Susan. This is such a nice artwork. I like it. Ano, may body yung kanyang puno. It's nice. I like it. I like it.
Sa akin, naglalagablab siya.
Oo, ang ganda. Ang ganda, no? Parang, ano, nice, nicely done, Susan. I like it. Medyo na-wiggly lang yung silhouette ng background trees, pero it's nice. I super like it. Yung baba lalo nung, yung roots, ay no, ang ganda. Nung
Oo.
pagkakatayo ng puno.
Kompleto, no? Kompleto na.
Mm-mm.
Pati
Daming
to.
practice eh.
Galing, galing. Ipag kasi. And that's done on, I think, cellulose paper, oh.
Oh, that's why.
I think so. Ang galing, nakuha
At
pa.
may signature pa.
Congrats, Susan! And then, okay, and then ito si Glenn. Si Glenn, nagwa-warm up pa lang. Yan.
Oh. Nice. Ang gaganda nung ano nyo, ng
Tingnan mo, oh, ang
yung
mga ginagamit ko,
pagkakatubo.
200 GSM
Ng
cellulose paper. Oh, kitang-kita ko eh.
Oo.
Good morning.
Hindi kasi ako nagsisellulose eh, pero ang ka-confident,
No, ang galing
nagsisellulose.
tong mga to.
Nice.
About
I
time.
like the strokes. I like the strokes. And what you did there, dun sa baba, sa grasses, on the left part, it's kinda silhouette rin, which I like, which gives me an impression na nasa likod siya. That's nice. Yun. Naggamit kaya siya ng dagger? Baka,
Ah,
feeling ko yung iba gumamit ng ano, no?
yes.
What did
Oo, ayun sa dagger brush.
dagger.
Hello, Nina. Are you there?
Thank you.
Hi.
Ayun, ako ba'y
Thank
nawala?
you.
Tingin ko ako yung nawala.
Beth, ikaw yata yung nawala.
Oo nga, ako ngayon nawala. Narinig niyo ba ako now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, my internet connection is unstable. Grabe. Pero okay, Glenn, yung tweets niya, if you can make it stiffer. Alam mo, sakit ko rin kasi ito eh, kaya alam ko.
Medyo tatabaan ko ba ng konti?
Hindi. Ano siya, malambot eh, nalalambutan ako. Look at this.
Okay.
Ito maganda.
Dadarkan ko siguro.
Ito,
The one sa
soft
right.
siya. Ito.
Habol
Baka kasi
yan, habol.
nabali, ikaw naman.
Nabali eh. May umakyat kasi.
Oo, tama. Pwede. Oo naman. May tumungkit ng mga dahon niya. Tama, pwedeng lumusot. Okay. Eto, Glenn, ang ganda. Gusto ko to.
Diba?
Ganda ng trail. Grabe.
Ano yan, medyo
Dramatic.
spontaneous lang yung ganun ko kasi naghabol ako kay Miss Tina.
Very nice siya kasi naramdaman ko yung wind flowing. Also here, may direction. Ang ganda ng direction.
Oo nga, parang umikot yung leaves na.
Oo, amazing. Okay.
Parang, thank you.
Okay, Glenn.
Welcome.
Okay, I am back. So, hindi na ako unstable. Buti naman. Okay, there we go. Okay, so those are the paintings from our subscribers. So if Michelle is ready, calling Michelle.
No, I'm not ready.
Hello.
Can I pass?
Ready or not?
Here I
Oo.
come.
Bakit hindi kita ma-add, kaloka? O, di ba? Sandali lang. Can you spotlight yourself?
Okay, I will. Ano ba to? Ayun, spot. Talagang ano, no, nakalimutan ko na kung paano gumamit ng Zoom.
Okay, where is
Okay, so
you?
good
Where
morning.
is you? I cannot find you.
Eh, I already spotlighted myself. Tama ba pagkakagawa ko?
Yeah, how about your face? You don't want to show your
I
face.
don't like to show my face.
Why?
Maybe okay, fine. Ganun.
Ayan.
Okay, ayan na.
Hello, everybody. This is Michelle.
Good morning, everyone, again. Today, I'm going to also paint an autumn tree, but, okay, sorry. This is the autumn tree that I'm going to show for our Google Classroom tutorial next week. Okay, this is exclusive for our subscribers. But today, imagine this tree along with the other trees, and you're lying down in the middle of the park or in the middle of the forest, and you can see all of the trees from the ground. Okay, so this is the view if you are lying down on the grass and looking up at the trees, and you can see the sky, okay, and a few birds. So okay, let me just turn off my video. Nako-conscious ako, hindi na ako sanay mag-demo. Okay, so the thing I like about autumn is it's all about change, and it's all about things falling into place. Okay, so that's how I see the fall season. So for this particular month, I chose to work with the different use of autumn. So I'm going to show you my palette. This is cerulean blue, permanent yellow. This is, I think this is permanent green. And then sap green, olive green, vermilion hue, burnt sienna, and sepia. But for today, I won't be using sepia. I'll be using burnt umber instead. Okay.
Can
So,
you hold that for a while, teacher?
okay.
Michelle? Baba mo ng konti, please.
Which one? The palette?
Yan, the palette. Yan. Can you count
Yeah.
10 seconds?
Okay.
So, Michelle will be having her process video this coming October 16th, Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yes.
Google Classroom. So she's going to have the changing leaves tree, but she has a different type of demo for today. So while we are counting, I'm just making an ad lib. Also, we have tons of giveaway for the members. So please do check them out. We're going to try to it's actually pinned in our announcement page, so if you can take a look at that and join the giveaway. Ang dami, ang dami. So please take advantage of the giveaway from our generous sponsors.
Yes.
I think Nina knows the sponsors. She's in charge of all of the giveaway. I she will mention it later. Yeah, and I think my 10 seconds is done, right, Michelle?
Yeah, huh? Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So okay, so these are the colors, and then all right, so I'm going to put this aside for a while. Okay. Now I'm using the Baohong block cold press 300 GSM 100% cotton, thanks to gift box and Miss Beth Robles. Okay, so I actually, if you'll notice on these two artworks, these are more like very fluid blending and fusion of colors. So we'll do that. Okay. So for today, I will ask you to take out your flat brushes and your angle brush. Sa mga nagbudol last time sa ating live selling sa PGW, this is your chance to use your angle brushes. Okay, so first we are going to wet the entire sheet. Okay, so I'm using a block. I'm not using a masking tape since I'm using a block. But if you're not using a block, please tape down your paper. Okay, to a board or to your table. Okay. So if you have, what do you call this? Nag-blackout ako, sorry. So if you have a spray also, you can do that. Okay, but of course, a flat brush is ideal, or a hake brush is also ideal, like the one that Nina used earlier. Okay, so that the water is evenly distributed across the paper. Okay. Now, as you can see, I'm going back and forth with the adding of water. Okay, because I have my electric fan focused on me. And so I know that the paper will dry very fast. So if you are in an air-conditioned room, or if your electric fan is focused on you, then please go back and forth just to ensure that your paper remains damp all throughout the time that we're adding colors. Okay, so my paper is now damp all over. It's not dripping wet, it's just right. Okay, and then I'm going to get my angle brush. Now, this is a very, maybe I'll call it intuitive process. We're not going to think so much, but we're going to enjoy the splashes of colors. Okay, so here, as you can see, like everything is radiating from the center going outward towards the edges of the paper. Okay, so when we're adding the leaves, it's just going to be in a sort of semi-circular fashion, or an oval manner. Okay, we start with the yellow. Okay, just so that we prevent the artwork from getting muddy. Okay, we start with the lightest color. Right now, as you can see, I'm just grabbing color directly from my pan because we're doing wet on wet. So automatically the color gets a bit diluted when I add it onto the paper. Okay, so just like that. The first color will be distributed all across. Okay, and then we're going to dab in the other colors later in clumps. Okay, but not like this. Okay, so this is actually our base layer. That's why. Okay, we want the yellow to show through as we add on the darker colors. Okay, and then next I'm going to grab my vermilion hue. Okay, for this one, I'll start using the edge of the longer side of the angle brush and just dab it. Okay, dab it onto my paper. Okay. So again, this is a very random process. Okay, it's really up to you how you want the trees to look. And if you've been abroad, or if you've seen autumn photos on Instagram or Pinterest, okay, what's nice about autumn trees, okay, the ones that with so many colors, is that the colors are just bursting in every, like in every angle. Okay, So that's what we're trying to achieve here. Okay. If you don't have an angle brush, you can use your round brush, that's fine. But later on, as we add the branches, an angle brush is actually very handy. A dagger brush would also work, a dagger brush or a rigger or a liner. Okay, but for this one, it's fun to have this angle brush. I've actually grown to love it. Okay, so when you're adding, as you're adding colors, make sure that you're not adding too much of it. You're leaving space in between so that the previous layer is still being shown, okay? Next, we can now add sap green, okay? So sap green can actually go on top of the oranges, okay? So when you're working on this particular artwork, I really suggest that you just look at it as a whole. Don't focus on any part of your paper because you really want to distribute the colors nicely. Okay. Right. Now I'm happy with that. We can add olive green. Okay. Normally I add olive green below the sap greens. Okay. If you find that your color is creating some splashes like this, just leave it. Okay. Don't worry too much about it. It's actually a nice effect. Okay. So again, I'm just adding olive green to sort of create those shadow-like appearances. Okay, there. Maybe add more here. Okay. Again, it's really important that your paper remains damp all throughout so that the colors actually like blend well together. And we don't create any harsh lines or edges. And then, okay, let's get some burnt sienna and then add this onto mostly the oranges. Okay, I see that some parts of my paper has now started to dry a bit. Okay. That's fine. If that happens, I don't suggest that you wet it, okay, because it just might create like marks, like mushrooms, blooms, and we don't want that, okay? Anyway, we are going to create like these more evident brush strokes later on, okay? So far I'm happy with how this base, not really base, but these blended colors look, okay? Before we add the branches, we need to make sure that this, that your sheet is completely dry, okay? Otherwise, these lines won't be solid lines. Instead, they would just bleed through the leaves. So let me just get my heat gun. Just cover my over my laptop. Okay. And then try this. Now, even if you are using a block, it is still possible that the paper would warp a bit, especially on the part where there's a space or gap where you can insert your cutter, um, and that's fine. But as you are drying your paper, whether it's with a heat gun blower or naturally through a fan or just leaving it, you will find that later on it will flatten out. Okay, so don't get frustrated or don't panic when you see that the paper is warping. Right. Okay, so at this point, the paper is already dry. We can now add the branches. So I'm going to continue using my angle brush for this. And we're going to grab some burnt umber, okay? So I'm not going to dilute my burnt umber, okay? This is actually I believe this is a natural hair brush, and it really holds a lot of water. So when I do get color from straight from my pan, it's not as thick compared to using a synthetic brush. Okay, so but if you're using something that's that doesn't hold much water, I would suggest that you get your color from your pan and then dilute it a bit. Okay, so I'm going to show you this again, just for reference. So everything is radiating from the center outward, okay? So since we don't have any outline for this, okay, the best way to ensure that you achieve this arrangement is to create some markers, okay? So basically, I usually just add 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then work from there. Okay, so the bottom and the upper sides of the paper. Okay, so basically just hold your angle brush upright and then slide it downward, exerting more effort as you slide downward. Okay, and then I want this to be pointed, so I just add like that. Okay, so just add like that to the tip. So see, okay, even if I got my color straight from the pan, it's actually in a more diluted form when I glide it on my paper. Okay, so let's do that again. Let's add 2 more markers on this side of the paper. So this one, okay, again, imagine this is your center and then radiating outward. So it's at an angle, like that. And then again, if you want your tree to have a more pointed tip, just lightly glide the brush like this. And you can use your pinky finger for support. Okay. Then, okay, do that again over here. Something like that. Okay. And then you can choose to flip your paper or just do it this way. So greater pressure from here, and then just lift as you go towards the center. Okay. And same thing here, greater pressure, and then just lift towards the center. Same thing here. Something like that. If it's not perfect, just make it wider. Or create 2 trees. Okay, now that you have the markers, it's easier for you to add everything else. So at this point, I am just going to add another tree here. Okay. And then 1 more over here. Okay. Try not to put them in like exactly in front of each other. But if you've done that, that's fine because we're going to distract with other trees anyway. Okay. And then maybe okay. Something like that. Okay. Also, when you're doing the lines, instead of doing this with your brush, moving from your wrist, it's better to move from your elbows. Okay, so there's greater control with the pressure, and you're able to create straighter lines. Okay. Okay. You can also add like really fine lines at certain points, or just add. Okay. At this point, I'm no longer reloading my brush, okay, because I want to create those lighter, finer lines, okay, that resemble trees in the distance. Okay. So at this point, I am already happy with how this is looking. Okay. And I will now add more of that burnt sienna. Okay. So basically, as you can see here, okay, there are more defined leaves, okay, that are darker in color, and that's burnt sienna. Okay, so again, I'm just getting straight from my pan. Okay, this is more like it's a very thick consistency. Okay, so okay, so from here, I actually would want to do some sort of a dry brush effect. So grab your tissue and then just dab the belly of your brush against that tissue. And then use again your pointed tip, okay? Pointed tip to add those leaves. Okay. The dry brush effect can be very tricky. So as you can see, the first time I did it, it's not really so dry. Okay, but that's fine. You let that part of the paper dry and then just go and add color to it later on. Okay, so here I'm just adding color surrounding each of these tree trunks. Okay. Now you can also use a sponge or even crumpled tissue to do this, to add this kind of effect to your trees. Okay, so again, dry your brush a bit. Okay, the key here is don't dab too closely so that the leaves are more defined. See, just dab, dab, dab. Okay. Purple is actually included in autumn colors. So if you're a fan of deep purple, then feel free to add purple to your palette as well. Okay, so this is not really that dry. So I just patted the tissue on it to just sort of diminish those leaves. Okay. If you're hearing the drilling in the background, please pardon. There's a construction just beside our house. So sorry for
Yan,
that.
naririnig dear. Okay lang.
Yahoo! Thank you, Zoom. Ang galing talaga ng Zoom. Yan. Okay. We're almost done. Okay. So this is a very relaxing part, okay? The first part of wet on wet might stress some people out because we normally would want to gain control of our painting, right? But the moment you're used to just letting the watercolors blend with each other, that becomes a relaxing part of your painting as well. But this one, okay, dry brush patting should be very relaxing for you. Okay. So another thing that you need to take note of, like as you're patting, you'll notice that the color will not be as dark as your first first runs. Okay. Now that's actually nice. Okay. Just go around, hop from one tree to another, and let the colors, vary across your paper. Okay. Okay. Yes. All right. So I'm already happy with how the trees are looking. Okay. Now let's add some color to the sky. Okay. So I am going to use cerulean blue for this. Okay. Basically, I will just get color. Okay. Dab it here a few times and then just wet my brush and dilute it straight on the paper. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay. And some here. Okay, just make sure to soften those edges. Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe one more pass over here. Okay. Now at this point, you will notice that the yellow, the first layer of yellow that we have added earlier on at the start is really not that evident, but it is in those gaps between the trees. Okay, so that's the purpose of adding that first layer. Okay, so let me just dry this part because I want to add some birds. Okay. Now, if you're comfortable using the same angle brush for your birds, then go ahead. But if you have difficulty controlling the pressure on your brush, you can go ahead and get a smaller, finer brush for the birds. Okay, so I'm going to do just that because I am scared. Okay, hold on. Let me just grab a smaller brush. Okay, so this is a size 2 round brush. Okay, we can use burnt umber for this or sepia. I'm using burnt umber. Okay, so it's really like just lightly doing um, quick whiff like that. Okay, quick, no, not whiff, quick stroke like that. And then add another one like that. Okay, so see. So both are stemming from the left instead of, let me just grab this. Instead of doing this, okay, now this looks good as well, but this looks more natural, right? So, and then there's another way to do birds. One is like a V shape, okay? So this is like just one quick downward stroke like that, and then a curve like that, okay? So let's add a few more, add as many as you want. Okay, me, I'm happy with 4. All right, so that's it. We're done. That's your autumn trees from the ground.
Ganda, ganda.
Salamat!
Sabi ni Lay, para daw may heart na nag-overlap.
Oo nga, no. Ito, tsaka ito.
Yes.
Ano ba?
Galing.
Today is a day of hearts, ha? Nag-start kay Billy. Billy, kasalanan mo to.
And Doc Eileen says, she's happy hearing your voices and laughter in the morning. She has work kasi every morning eh.
Okay. Good morning,
The
Doc.
bird po.
Yes. Ano pa? Sabi ni, oh yan, those are from our Facebook watchers.
All right.
Okay, while waiting for the participants, the subscribers output, yes, Cosette, ang ating Boodle Night is in October 29, hindi last night. Okay, so we'll make sure you know it pretty well before we have the Boodle Night on October 29, Friday, 7 p.m. Okay, so
Yes.
kahit basta let's see lang kung what our tindahan will be offering. She's going to have a clear, ang tawag doon? Clear out.
Clearance.
Ayun, clearance sale. Budol lang kasi alam mo, ano ba yan? Gonna have a clearance sale of all her items. So it's the perfect time to, get gifts for artsy friends. And I don't know what Nina is still offering there, pero I think kahit hindi artsy friend, meron siyang mga mai-offer in art tindahan. But most likely for artsy friends. Then Irene
Yes.
actually saying, beautiful. Yan, ganda, Michelle.
Salamat. Kaya ako nag-orange today.
Autumn colors.
Yes.
Ang ganda rin kasi ng cotton talaga.
Maganda rin talaga ang bauhong.
Yeah.
Sobra, no?
That's
And to think, di ba, ito yung student grade pa lang nila,
yeah,
no?
academy grade.
Galing. Ang galing-galing.
Okay, amazing. Okay, there. So let's see if we have something to share from our subscribers. What's the color used for the bird? Michelle, from
I only used burnt umber, but you can use sepia if you have sepia, or if you don't have burnt sienna, you mix it with a little bit of indigo, pwede. Or even purple, burnt sienna and a little bit of purple. Welcome, Billy. Nakatingin na ako sa GC.
Oo. While waiting for the mostly meron sila. Hinintaan lang. Just wait a while.
Just wait a while. Oh! Kinanta! Oh my God.
Wala akong future sa pagkanta. Mag-TikTok na lang tayo.
Yes! May bagong challenge.
Naabangan ni Ninya yan. sa
Next
haba ng,
week.
sa haba ng listahan natin.
Oo, naging listahan na lang talaga.
What did you use for the trunks of the trees? Did you use the angle brush for that?
Yes, yes. So this one. In fairness, no, kasi I know a lot of us have angle brushes, but we rarely use it because sometimes parang nakakatakot siyang gamitin eh. Pero after the PGW demo of Sir Eman, medyo parang mas naging comfortable na ako. Although nakita ko na, di ba, nag-demo na rin siya sa atin before, right? And he always uses angle brushes. Pero parang the more that I see him working with the angle brush, parang sabi ko, oh nga, na-try ko nga. And then masaya siyang gamitin.
Oh, ang ganda nga. May sable angle brush ka. Most of the angle brushes that are present here are mostly, synthetic. So, nakakatuwa si Sir Jason Yo naman nung dinemonstrate niya yung angle synthetic. Very inexpensive angle brush.
Magaling siya, oo.
Oh, something like, nasa kamay talaga eh. Nasa practice, no?
Nasa practice, yes. Like kasi kasi 'di ba, we didn't really work with an outline. We didn't sketch. So, I know some of you may have shaky hands or may not be comfortable with the brushes yet. So, I will understand kung yung branches medyo curved ng konti. But yun nga, yung siguro one thing that we can take note of is when we're doing the lines, pag ganyan siya. Pag ganyan. We don't work with the wrist. We don't move with the wrist when it comes to painting lines like this.
Susan is already done. I can share it now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Ay, nice.
Ganda, no? And she's using, Shop
Cellulose.
Watercolor Journal.
Oh my God, maganda.
Tokyo
Although
Fine.
kasi si Tokyo Fines makapal eh.
300
So,
GSM. Selling
oo. Kaya maganda siya. Actually, if you didn't tell me na Shop Tokyo Finds na journal sheet yan, parang may effect siya na para siyang done on canvas, no?
Kasi
Oo, kasi may texture.
parang may grains.
Yes. Ang ganda. Oo. It's very nice, Susan.
Thank you.
I love it. You're obviously very comfortable with wet on wet. And I love the sky and the birds. Tapos, tama din yung yung dry brush effect. Everything is on point. So, very nice.
Susan,
Put a little purple.
Oo, ang ganda.
Susan,
Yeah.
what did you use for your foliage?
What did I use?
Brush. What brush?
Brush?
Oo.
The flat brush.
Flat.
Pero pa nakatayo.
Ito,
Oo.
Oo.
Parang
nakatayo.
perpendicular to the paper. Oo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kasi hindi ba it sort of opens up?
Yes.
Yeah.
actually, this stroke is similar to a fan brush made by the fan brush.
Oo, pwede.
Kaya I asked Susan.
Yeah. Pwede rin.
Oo, isa pa yung fan
Susan is
brush na
very
yan.
inspired.
Ganda, Susan. Ang ganda.
Pagod
Thank
pa
you.
yan. Pagod pa yan si Susan.
Puyat.
Hindi halata. Pero yun nga, sana na-relax ka.
Oo, sarap. Galing.
Kaya kayo, marirelax kayo. Sa akin, hindi kayo marirelax.
Palagay ko nga, parang naman kami hihinga sa'yo.
Pero ang ganda naman ng dynamics ng ng gagawin ni Beth mamaya.
Good luck. Sana mapangatawanan ko naman daw, no?
Sus, kaya mo yan.
Iba pag demo talaga. It comes out. Kaya good luck sa akin mamaya talaga. Hey, meron pa ba? Let's see. Yay! Oh my God, ang gaganda ng painting nila. Nakakaasar. Pag si Michelle, maganda lahat output nila.
Kasi madali.
Hindi. Execution yun ng teacher kaya maganda. Ayan, nako, si Billy may pa na. May pasabi na, sorry daw.
Bakit, Billy?
Dagdagan
Wait
ko pa,
lang
ma'am.
ah.
Dagdagan ko pa.
Kulang-kulang pa. This is her first
Kaya,
wash.
kaya.
Ganito siya palagi. First wash palagi. Okay,
Si Billy, palagi siya nag-a-apologize, no? Billy, don't do that. Okay lang talaga. At saka, eto, so this is actually, parang yung kanina, no, kanina, very, kumbaga, parang nararamdaman ko na you're hesitant eh. Siguro hindi ka pa ganun ka-confident with painting, and it's okay. Kasi nga, beginner ka pa. So, yeah. So, ito, I am guessing medyo dry na si paper, no? So, sayang ang papel kung i-redo mo to on another sheet. So, what you can do is, with a spray, with a water spray, okay, i-spray mo hanggang maging damp the whole sheet. Okay? So, when you're spraying, isa sa mga tips na nakita ko is, you spray, habang nagsispray ka, i-glide mo yung spray across the sheet. So, pag nagsispray ka, hindi lang siya nagbabasa sa isang portion. So, i-glide mo siya a few times. And then,
then add color.
Yes, add color, wet on wet. Okay? Anyway, recorded naman tong demo. Unless you are confident, kasi may naman din, pwede ka pa rin namang mag-brush over this, but very lightly lang with a flat brush or a hake brush para hindi ma-disturb yung first layer mo. Okay? So, depende talaga. Papakiramdaman mo. Oo.
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you.
But
what paper did you use for this work?
Yung Canson, po, 300, ano to?
Montval? It's Canson Montval?
Yes po. Yes, Montval.
Okay.
300. I don't have yung...
But it's 300, so it's okay.
I don't have bauhong.
Okay, so ito but on the positive side, no, you have to look at your piece. It's actually very nice the way the colors are blending with each other. So nagawa mo siya. Siguro natatakot ka pang magdagdag ng kulay. Okay?
Yes po, yes ma'am. I'll try again.
Dapat siyang watercolor mo. Dapat half na by this time. Wag
Ma'am, I think masyadong yung hindi solid yung color, no?
Yes, dagdag pa ng pigment pag ganyan. Kasi sonnet is very, pigmented. So, when you're using that, when you get pigment from your watercolor pan, try to use your synthetic brush para pagkuha mo maraming pigment and then mix it with your water. Di ba basa yung papel? So, when you drop, powerful yung color.
Yes.
So,
yes,
kahit
kasi may plate,
kahit matagal kang mag-mix, ibig sabihin yung una mong mix, kasi hinahabol mo si Michelle, di ba? Yun yung pag paint along, hinahabol mo yung teacher.
Yes,
so, it takes you a while before you mix. Nagda-drop na yung teacher, nagmi-mix ka pa lang. So, nandun yung So, yun, take your time, tapos, mix ka lang ng madaming pigment.
Yes.
Para, and si Michelle is using cotton. You see the difference in the pigment kasi pag cotton talaga lubog ang kulay. They're using Canson Montval, it's cellulose, so the water stays on top of the paper. So pag drop mo talaga, pa yan? Yun yung difference pag cotton tsaka cellulose. So hindi pa lumulubog ka agad yung color.
I think I have to buy yung cotton.
No, it's okay to practice naman. Look at Susan. She's using cellulose also.
Yes.
Pero she has mastered the pigment.
Tama.
So, yun. So, ibig sabihin, kulang ka talaga maglagay ng pigment.
Yes.
This one
Kaya ang dami ko pang sonnet.
Yes! Dapat ko na yan sa dami ng classes na inattendan mo with me.
Meron pa siya. Hindi pa nangangalahati.
Wala pang dent, Michelle. Wala pang dent.
Wala, ano ba? Dapat after 4 sessions, may na yan. May kalahati na. Oo, wag kang,
Kailangan
ito
talaga
ha.
dagdagan pigment.
Yes.
Right,
At
right.
saka, ano,
Thank
it's
you.
two
Ah,
things that I want you to take note of, no? Wag
yes
kang
po.
manghinayang sa watercolor.
No
Okay?
po, no po, no naman.
Gamitin mo siya.
Takot
Okay?
takot baka
Ayun.
magkamali.
Okay. Pag nagkamali, nakita mo kanina, nagkakamali ako, nagdadab ako ng tissue. So may
Yes,
mga
yes.
ganun, ano, you can dab a tissue, you can lift it with a wet brush. So there are
Yes.
remedies to watercolor. So
Yes.
wag kang matakot. Okay? And
Yes
then
po.
also, yung sinasabi ni Beth kanina na you don't have to buy cotton paper right away, but of course we want you to explore that paper also kasi maganda talaga siya.
Opo.
Ang ano dyan is, even if you're using cellulose, yung ginawa din ni Susan, it's familiarity with your materials. Okay? So
Yes po.
paint. Like, pagkatapos ng session mo with Beth, try to paint it again.
Yes.
Pagkatapos ng demo nito, try to paint it again.
Yes.
Kasi
Yes po.
makikita mo like yung first at saka second piece mo, may pagkakaiba ka agad yan. Kasi
Ah.
the thing is, when you're painting, okay, pag iba kasi nanonood ka lang sa, di ba, nanonood ka, iniintindi mo, that's fine.
Yes.
But when
Yes.
you're painting,
Alone.
nakikita mo kung saan ka nagkakamali. Alam mo kung anong dapat mong gawin next time. Ganon.
Yes. Thank you so
Okay.
much po. Thank you so
Welcome,
much.
Lee. Ito naman kay,
Thank you.
kay Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
Good morning, Miss Michelle.
Ang ganda nung nung shinare niya the other day ba yun? Yung mga garden pieces
Yung
niya. Okay,
garden.
nice. Okay.
Oo, kasi relax na relax ako sa inyo.
Ang
Katatapos
saya.
lang. Di ba? Kaya paint lang. Walang
Yes.
pressure.
Oo. Okay, so this one, I also like the colors. I like how they are going well. Nakita ko yung green mo, may mga hard edges. So, okay lang yan because maganda naman kasi what do you call this? Kasi ako, I chose to focus on burnt sienna, di ba? For the more defined leaves. Pero yung sa'yo, I think the paper got dry easily. That's why nagkaroon tayo ng hard edges. Okay lang naman din. And then, I like the sky. Masyadong maganda yung sky tsaka yung birds. Siguro yung mga tree trunks, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Space them out. Mas may space. parang hindi maganda. Parang wala namang sense yung sabi ko. Basta, okay. So it has to radiate from the center going outward. Okay? Kasi dito, nakikita ko medyo parang very straight ang lines natin. Okay? I'm looking at the bottom part. The upper part is actually nice kasi nagre-radiate nga siya. Okay? So parang siguro isipin mo yung rays of the sun pala, no? Ganon. So the first half, the upper half of your artwork is actually nice. Maganda yung distribution tsaka angle ng mga trunks. But the bottom half, medyo nakikita kong mas straight sila. But you don't have to recreate this. What you can still add, nakikita mo yung yung nasa center na baba.
Yes, okay.
Yan, di ba? Sa side niyan, pwede kang magdagdag ng mas maninipis na mga trunks.
Parang chunk na
Yes.
Actually, it's not a chunk. Yun, sanga-sanga lang.
Hindi sanga. Hindi naman ako naglagay ng sanga kanina. They're actually more like bodies of trees
Okay.
merging. Kasi nga para ka nakahiga sa grass, di ba?
Okay.
So, yun. Where the
Mas
cursor
manipis
is.
lang. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Beth. Yan. Just add yung more diagonal lines in between.
Okay.
And then, maano na siya, parang madidiminish na yung pagiging sobrang solid yung nasa center. Okay?
Okay.
And then siguro,
Kasi may pattern yung kay Glenn na 3. Ang kanyang pattern, 1, 2, 3.
oo. Dun sa, okay, let me guess. Inuna mo yung sa bottom ba?
Anong sabot?
This one.
Inuna mo yung mga
Yes,
chunks
yes.
sa baba.
That's the first one. Yan ang una.
Yun.
Kaya medyo makapal.
Oo, kaya medyo makapal, may pattern pa. Pero as you went on, yung upper half, dun medyo mas komportable ka na. So it
Yeah.
shows, yes. Tapos,
Walang hula.
now, padagdag na rin ng dry brush effect ng
Okay.
burnt sienna mo. Kasi
Okay.
kitang-kita na parang you were adding them along the lines, but try to add them na parang isipin mo yung mga bonsai plants.
Random.
Yes.
Okay.
Na medyo outward pa ng konti. Ganyan.
Mhm.
Oo.
Okay.
Parang nagsha-shape siya ng tree, Glenn.
Okay.
Oo.
Yep,
Kasi
yep.
ito, kulang pa yung foliage niya dito.
Mhm,
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, pero ganda.
Thank you.
Yung trunks lang talaga.
Pero maganda nga.
Dagdagan pa
Even
na
the
lang.
blending of the colors maganda. Gusto ko yung sky niya very smooth. I like it.
Oo, tamang-tama yung gawa, no?
Para ka talaga nakatingin sa langit na.
Para ka nakatinga lang ganyan.
Yes.
Very nice.
You,
Topic
Glenn.
natin.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Miss Michelle. Thank you, Miss Beth.
Thank you for sharing your work. Oh no, ako na ba? Tapos na ba?
Yes!
Ba? Oh gosh! Takot
Uy,
ako.
bago ka mag-start, gusto ko lang sabihin na natuwa ako nung sinabi mong hinahabol ako ni Billy.
Oo, kasi
Ibig sabihin, bumibilis na ako.
yeah, because Billy is a beginner, kaya alam kong hinahabol ka niya.
True naman yun. Pag beginner, oo. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Now, si Beth naman, wow!
Good luck.
Stretch ang arms.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Today, I will show you how to use gum Arabic. Gum Arabic. I call it gum Arabic. Pero, iba yung pronunciation eh. Hindi ko magawa. Okay, anyway. So, I have gum Arabic in dry form. This is what I use in mixing my calligraphy inks, no? Gum Arabic. And this one is by Winsor & Newton. And this is really very, very nice. Kaso, wala akong makita sa bottle. They normally come in bottles similar to our masking fluid. Fortunately, from Pulp and Pigment, meron silang sample. Yung mga nasa sample pack nila, they have this medium. So, one in acrylic and one in watercolor. And it's very nice. So, where do we use gum Arabic? We use gum Arabic, actually you don't need to use it, no? I just want to show you how we can make use of this product. It's like a masking tool for watercolor. Also, if you have pigments that have already dried out, you can get gum Arabic and then put it in your watercolor. All our watercolors have gum Arabic. It serves as their binding ingredient para kapag nakuha nyo siya, di ba nakita nyo kapag nag-tube kayo ng watercolor, nag-squeeze out ng tube, there's this liquidy substance that comes out before the pigment. So, you have to mix it para hindi manigas yung watercolor pigments ninyo. And that's gum Arabic. We use this in calligraphy because minsan sobrang thin nung ink. And when you lay it down on paper, magbe-bleed yung paper. So, kunyari, ang paper natin is only 100 GSM, and let's say you use an ink that's very watery, we add gum Arabic to thicken the ink. And in watercolor painting, we use it to mask. So, if you don't want the very harsh effect of masking fluid, we use gum Arabic. Now, I am so tempted to use this gum Arabic, no? Pero kasi ready na siya eh. So if you have this, might as well try it. But to show you how to use the dry one, konting-konti lang, no? Gum Arabic also pala, before I forget, is also used to shape your brush. So mamaya, pag may natira, if you have your brushes, di ba nakita nyo kapag may bago kayong brush, para siyang may glue na nakadikit sa kanya, na it's shaped very nicely. So that's gum arabic also. So if you are cleaning your brushes, and let's say hindi nyo siya nagagamit, like yung mga magaganda yung round brushes, you can use gum arabic to shape it the way you like and then let it dry. So that's another use of gum arabic. Dami ko nang sinabi, no? So again, what are the uses of gum arabic? One is for thickening the ink or the paint. Number two, for, reconstituting your watercolor if it has dried out. Especially yung mga student grade. Di ba nakita nyo pag nanigas yun? Also your gouache, if you have gouache na nigas, you can add gum arabic and then, ano na yon, you mix it again and it's gonna, also gouache, pwede water lang, pwede na yon. And then, for shaping your brushes, you want to shape your brushes, brush shaper siya, you can also use that kung may matira later on. And how to mix this? Actually, wala akong formula, no? I have the certain thickness lang. So, I'm gonna get one. If you have those little kutsara in parties, meron ako nun dati eh. Eh, wala na ngayon. So, I'm gonna use the back of the brush. Sorry, hindi talaga ako nagme-measure. So, ito lang, tansya-tansya lang. Konti lang. We just need a few. And you need hot water. I use hot water or distilled water. But I like hot water the most because, ewan ko, pag hot water, ano siya eh, parang lahat tinutunaw niya. I'm gonna use hot water to dilute my gum arabic. Actually, dinadivert ko lang attention nyo dahil kinakabahan ako sa demo ko eh. So, I am using hot water to dilute the gum arabic. So, normally, I think parang 1:1 yung ratio naman niya. Tingnan natin. I will show you the thickness that you need. Just a few drops. And then, use your synthetic brush, no? For mixing gum arabic, oh no, this one has color. Okay lang. My brush has color. It's dirty, sorry. I think it has ink. So, yan. This is the consistency that you like, no? Medyo thick siya. So, okay na yung consistency niya. Okay? And what it does with watercolor is that it makes the pigment, parang hindi magfo-flow ng super fast yung pigment nyo if you have gum arabic. Okay, so I will show that in a while. Okay, let me just clean my brush. Nakakaasar naman, no? I use a dirty brush, but then it will work. I will show you how. There. So, this is our gum arabic mixture. So, yan, no? Pag hindi siya nagda-drop, no? But it's flowing. That's the thickness that, oh, see? Hindi siya nagda-drop. Ganyan lang. Mabagal ang kanyang dropping. This is a synthetic brush. Hindi siya too thin, no? So, there. Now, I will show you the Winsor & Newton gum arabic naman. Para you can see. Puti siya, no? It's a clear. Puti din to. Madumilay brush ko. Okay? Sorry for that. Okay, and then let me just get. Okay, I don't need scissors. So, there. This one, when opened, dapat i-seal nyo siya. Kasi, pag nagda-dry siya, although hindi siya katulad ng masking fluid na parang glue, magda-dry lang siya as is. Ganyan lang siya. Tapos, water will slowly remove it. Okay? Hindi siya glue type. Malambot siya. Okay, so there. This is Winsor & Newton. This is the gum arabic. This is white, ha? Madumi lang po talaga yung brush ko. Yan. So, to illustrate, this is Paul Rubens paper. And this is 100% cotton Bao artist grade. Magkaiba yung effect niya on paper. Because one, this is cellulose, the other is cotton. But, parehong kaya niyang mag-mask. So, for the effect, no? So, let's say this is water. I am putting water now, just to show you the effect of gum arabic. Water. And then, you can either mix gum arabic with your watercolor, or you can just put it on your paper. So, I'm going to put gum arabic. If you don't have gum arabic, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. I'm just showing you so that you know. Okay, there. After putting gum arabic, this is the effect on the watercolor. So, I'm going to get my watercolor. Let's say I have an orange color. So, there's the gum arabic. Okay, so, yan o, mabagal yung spread ng pigment. Okay, so I will put that there. And I will use another color. Let's say blue naman. Phthalo blue. Or yung mga red. Kasi yun yung mga, yan. So that you know the difference and how gum arabic slows down the pigment. Okay? So, ganyan kabagal. Okay? And I'm using a watery synthetic brush. Now, I'm gonna show you yung pag walang gum arabic. So, this part, yan. This is just water. And then, I'm gonna drop in some colors, no? The orange that we had a while ago. Okay? This is Paul Rubens. Para lang ma-compare nyo. Paul Rubens paper. And also when it dries, ayan no, kita nyo yan. Meron siyang hard edge. Ito, soft edge. Yun yung nakita nyo yung difference. This is water only. So, it creates soft edges. But with gum arabic, nakita nyo, it creates those, parang meron talaga siyang edge na napo-form. Hindi siya ganun ka-soft, no? Now, ang daldal ko, wait lang. Yan. See how fast kapag may watercolor, ganyan siya kabilis mag-bleed, no? But with gum arabic, controlled, no? So you can use this for reflection on water. You can use that, and it sometimes makes the watercolor mas ano siya, mas what you call this, mas pigmented. You can see the colors more. So another use of this one is for masking, which is what I'm going to use for this demo. I'm going to use the gum arabic for masking. So to mask, just put the shape that you like. So in this case, ang imamask ko kasi yung mga light bulbs sa lamp at saka ano ba yung imamask ko, yung mga tao para hindi ko siya madumihan, no? Pero pwede mo naman siyang iwasan if you like. So there, you have to dry it. So this is the gum arabic I made. And this is the gum arabic by Winsor & Newton. Kasi ito ako lang gumawa. Ito, ang maganda dito, formulated na siya. Yan. There you go. And we have to let it dry. So yun yung secondary step. Okay, so now look at the difference. You can see the difference more evident now. This is pure water. This is with gum arabic. So yun yung difference. So the gum arabic somehow stops the pigment. Parang it lessens the spread of the pigment. There. Now here, I'm gonna use a heat gun to dry it up faster in order to calm my nerves before the storm. And while we're doing that, if you have made the sketch, or if you're gonna watch this later, sana pala, no, pinakita ko na live video. Show ko na lang kaya yung video para mas madali buhay ko kasi kinakabahan talaga ako. Okay.
Pwede. Tapos mag-voice over ka na lang.
Oo, na live, no?
Pwede.
Mag-voice na lang ako na live. Tapos share ko na lang po yung video sa inyo mamaya. Okay. Pero hindi, papakita ko yung paggamit ng gum arabic. Okay, so let me just dry kasi may basa pa na area. Okay, so ang ganda, alam mo, nagagandahan talaga ako dito. This one lang talaga to illustrate gum arabic use. Okay, there. I use it primarily for masking, no? Because hindi siya kasing harsh ng masking fluid. Diba si Nina kanina uses masking fluid and she wanted, yun nga, white areas on her trees. Ito, especially if you're painting flowers, you don't want kasi those hard edge eh. It's a very nice, masking tool. Hindi siya ganun ka-harsh. So, yan. Ito matagal matuyo. Remember, guys, ako lang gumawa niyan. So, you have to determine the thickness. It takes time for you to mix that. So, I've shown you the consistency.
Question.
Yes,
So,
dear.
dahil hindi siya harsh, you can use your brush. Kahit
Yes,
anong brush.
definitely.
Hindi katulad ni di ba minsan kasi sa masking fluid, kailangan meron ka pang
rubber.
dishwashing fluid, liquid sa tubig?
Oo. Pero you need water also for this. Yan. So, tuyo na siya, no? Yan, no?
Okay. Nice.
Now, dumihan na natin siya. So, we're gonna cover it. Linisin natin yung palette ko. Okay? So, kung ano man dumi nandyan, linisin natin. Para mamaya, okay na ang ating demo. So, this one, you have to Now, the question is how can you remove it, no? Yan. So, kunyari, naglaro kayo. You played with, kasi mamaya ganyan yung gagawin natin, no? If you don't want to be bothered. And then after that, of course, you need to dry it again. Dry muna natin so that you can see. Sorry, I really wanted to show this one. Kasi I remember Susan nga showed her precious napanalunan niya, prize from Pulp and Pigment. So, pakita ko sa kanya kung ano ang use ng gum arabic. And nakalimutan ko na live pala ang ating demo today. Akala ko pang GC ko to. Google Classroom. So, I'll look for another one for the Google Classroom. Okay, just letting this dry. Parang pang Saturn na to, no? Pang kids na to. Itong demo na to, Michelle. May mga planets na ako eh. Oh.
In fairness, oo nga. Tsaka yun nga, as you're drying it, nakikita, no? Lumalabas yung shape ng dalawa.
Oo,
Yes.
yung mask nila. Okay. So, this one is important. So, magda-dry up muna siya. And that's the purpose of it. Kasi, di ba, minas mo siya. Tapos, magkakaroon ka ng freedom to wash, create washes. And then, of course, we're gonna let it dry. Yan, ganyan yung process while painting eh. Before you remove any of the masking. So, pretend mga yan yung mga minask mo. There. And to remove it, you would need your tissue and any brush, no? Damp brush. So, when you remove it, ito yung area, yan, no? But remember, I'm using Paul Rubens on this, on this sheet. So, medyo liftable siya, no? Kasi 50% cotton lang tong si Paul Rubens. Although, in cotton, ganun din yung effect niya. Mas may effort lang kayo. Ito medyo effortless mag-lift. Ayan, no?
Ang ganda nga. Pati yung edges niya ang
Oh,
soft.
soft ang edges niya.
Nice.
So, there. Brush pa lang to, ha? Hindi pa ako nagtitissue. Yun ang Winsor & Newton naman. Yun yung kagandahan niya. Even with the brush, kaya niyang magtanggal. Well, also, the paper is, yun nga, 50% cotton lang. And then this one, this is my parang considered na sariling formula. Ito, mag-experiment kayo ng konti. Okay, so you can still lift. And that's the use of the gum arabic. Tada! Pero hindi ganun ka-effortless katulad nitong kay Winsor & Newton. Nag-compare daw ng brands. Sorry naman daw. Kasi nga ako lang po nag-mix nung isa. Yan, no? But it still works, no? It's very soft. Tada! And that's what we're going to use in the demo. That's why I needed to show this one. And if you're painting flowers, ayan, no, tingnan nyo, wala siyang masyadong hard edge. So when you create those petals, when you mask, nicer siya. Pero I like Winsor, oh, ang linis. Although, hindi ko pinatungan.
Talaga. Oo.
Pero pag ganon, you can use tissue. Once na nag-tissue ka, mas madali siyang i-wipe. Ayan, no, tada!
Oo.
Yan. O, di ba? Malinis na. Okay, there. And I think I also use pink here. Dito, hindi ako nag-pink. Kaya, mas madumi siya. Pero in any case, ang feeling ko lang ngayon, mas madaling matanggal with Winsor. Rather than ito. Medyo may effort magtanggal. Okay?
Smoother yung kay Winsor.
Ito yung effect niya kapag ginamit niyo siya. When you mix, I put it in water first. Yan. Pero may kulay siya, nakita nyo? You put gum arabic, glossy, nagiging glossy siya. So, makikita nyo kaya yun. May gloss ang ang gum arabic. So, kunyari, meron kayong gustong pakintabin, yun, pwede nyo siyang gamitin. Ito, walang gloss. It's matte. Kasi wala siyang gum arabic. This one will create a gloss on your work. Para kang may finishing. So, yun. Those are the difference, no? And you can also use it for masking. So pag may natira, natira, di ba? Kunyari, yung Chinese brush mo, ayusin natin. I-brush, gawin natin siyang brush shaper before to mag-dry. Sayang naman eh. Di ba? So you can use it to shape your brushes. So I'm gonna shape my Chinese brush like so. Ayan, o, di ba? Tapos, matutuyo na siya like that. So, you preserve yung mga hair na, ano mo yun, tutsyang? Anong tawag dun sa hair? Yung kumakawala.
Oo, tama to siyang.
Ayun, mga baby hair na matitigas ang ulo, yan. You can use that. And it also prolongs the life of your brushes. Yan, no? Tapos, pwede mo na siyang itago. So, gamitin natin kasi sayang yung gum arabic ko. Matutuyo. Ay, hindi. Gagamitin ko pa pala siya mamaya. Okay, okay. So, pwede ko pa siyang gamitin. So, that's the main use of the gum arabic. Mamaya, you just, pag natigas to, kunyari naiwan nyo siya, hindi siya ganun katigas katulad ng glue. Malambot pa rin siya. Para lang siyang may layer of cutics dun sa ano nyo. Di ba pag cutics talaga? Nail polish. You have a layer of nail polish. Parang ganun lang yung mangyayari sa ceramic ano nyo, plate. And then, what will happen is that you just put water, matatanggal na siya kaagad. Similar when you have your brush, pag nanigas na to, ano lang, rinse with water and then, ano na siya, okay na. Okay, there. So now, doon na tayo sa demo. Now, let's go to the demo. Okay, I hope you can see it. Kita ba? Yeah, kita naman. Or, taas pa. Yan. Sobrang taas. Sorry, guys. Bago ang aking holder. Yan, naninibago pa ako. Tagilid. Okay, anyway, this is the sketch. Now, we're gonna put masking fluid on the people and on the lamp. Okay, kasi we're gonna create washes over here. And again, I am using Paul Rubens, so medyo matagal mag-layer ng color, no? So, the colors that I'll be using, this is lavender, but actually you can mix cobalt blue. What did I mix with cobalt blue? With a little bit of violet, tapos madaming tubig. That's, sa konting-konti lang naman gagamitin natin. That's for the sky. And then you have scarlet orange. I have brilliant orange. I have sap green. I have greenish yellow. It's para siyang olive green pero lighter. So, green-yellow ata to from Shinhan. And then you have, this is, what kind of green are you? This is sap green. Oh no, this is hooker's green. Yeah, hooker's green. And then we have sepia, red, brown, and umber. Okay, sepia, red, brown, and umber. Yeah, and then for this, I have burnt sienna and your cadmium yellow. O pwede ring, ano, any mid yellow, mga yellow orange, no? Permanent yellow, deep, mga ganyan. Pwede lahat. So there. Those are the colors that we'll be using for this particular piece. So again, I need my board. Do I need board pa? Yeah, I need board. So let's put this in a board. I will not put tape anymore, but expect warping later. So if you hate warping, kindly fasten your watercolor paper on your any board that you have, no? So there. Let me just keep everything away from me. Yan. Okay. So if you can see it, diretso ba? Hindi siya diretso. Okay. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. One moment thing. Okay. There, lapit pa ng konti. Lapit pa, yeah. There, lapit pa. So, I need to get closer. A little bit closer. Para makita nyo. Yan, there you go. I'm happier. Okay, now this one ang problema ko. Okay, sige. Mag-a-adjust lang ako ng movement. Okay, so now, what we're going to do is mix cobalt blue. I'm going to use a heat gun to speed up the process because I'm using 50% cotton only. And for cellulose paper or 50% cotton, kailangan kasi dry before you put in another layer kasi nagsistay nga siya on top. Similar to what Billy is using, Montval. and any cellulose paper, no? Taas natin ng konti, baka ano makita nyo dyan. Yeah, there you go. So there. So now let's prepare cobalt blue. If you have lavender, please use it. I have cobalt blue and a little bit of violet and a lot of water. Very light wash lang. So super light wash. Okay. And you can put it here. Actually, you can put it on some of the areas here, no? Para mag-show. Pero mamaya matatabunan na yan. Kaya, doesn't matter actually. Yan. Just softening the sides. Softening the sides. And then, so dry yung paper, I just added cobalt blue. And then I am adding water to soften the sides. And in effect, I am now wetting the entire surface, no? Okay. There. So, I'm wetting the surface para hindi magkaroon ng harsh, yan, harsh lines. Now, syempre, nakalimutan ko, na-excite na naman ako mag-paint, diba? Wait lang. While we're doing that, ilagay natin ang masking fluid, ang ating gum arabic. Ano ba yan? So, nahinto ako. Sandali lang mga kaibigan. I-apply natin ang gum arabic really fast. Kasi nakalala ko to. I'm gonna apply gum arabic really fast. And I'm gonna blow dry everything. I'm using Winsor & Newton kasi madalian na to, mga dear. But you can use the gum arabic that you have or pwedeng iwasan nyo na lang talaga. You can also use masking fluid pero you know na how you can remove it, ha? Kayo na magtatanggal. Okay, you know the difference now. The purpose of the demonstration is to show you the other mediums, no? So, you can go without this one, that's fine. Kahit wala. Yan. So, ayan na. Namask ko na siya. Habulin natin ang, habulin ko yung tubig. Okay, but I can also wet it. So, no need to panic. Sinasabi ko yan sa sarili ko. Okay, so I'm gonna dry. Before I proceed with the demo, I'm gonna dry the masking fluid. I know, not the masking fluid, the gum arabic. Gum arabic. Okay. Because sometimes I words come out from the mouth faster than the brain, you know. I mean, the brain is faster, the mouth doesn't want to keep up. Okay, there. So, Winsor & Newton is clear. Pero makikita mo siya, there's a certain gloss later on. Yan, tuyo na dito. And then, nothing to worry about. Since nag-ano nga tayo, magwo-warp ang paper ko. Dahil nag-heat gun ako, magwo-warp ang paper ko. But don't worry, we're gonna wet the paper. It's going to be fine. Okay, there. It's dry now. So, we can now wet again. We can now wet. I'm just using a round brush. You can use any of the round brushes that you have. Okay, so let me just wet para hindi naman ako warpy paper all throughout the demo. Okay, but it's gonna warp later on. So I'm wetting the entire paper, especially those. Ito muna tayong top part. Later na yung lower part. Okay, so there. Since tuyo na yung gum arabic, I can wet this one again. Yan, there we go. I'm gonna stop here. And my paper is still expanding, so let it be. Okay, there. I'll let the water sip in for a while I mix my paint. So we're gonna use yellow. Okay, we're gonna use yellow. So this is a mid yellow. We're gonna use orange. Brilliant orange. Okay. And burnt sienna. I'm gonna use burnt sienna. Very nice burnt sienna. Also the greenish green. What is this? Green yellow. Ayan. I'm gonna use green yellow, very nice color. And olive green. Okay, there. So it's wet. Right now the paper has absorbed the water. So let me just help remove some of the puddle that I see on my paper. Para wala tayong uneven surface, no? Yan. Try. Although the paper is still expanding. Okay. But at least wala nang puddle. So, it's trying to remove those puddles. Okay. It's a bit glossy. Yan. Kasi pag wet, ang surface natin, mapusyaw, no? Lalo na pag 50% lang ang 50% cotton lang. So, there. Now, let's put more pigment. So, yellow. Over here. Very bright yellow on that part. On this part as well. Okay. Yellow. Actually, doesn't matter kahit na i-yellow natin lahat yan eh. Because yellow with blue will turn out to be green. Yan. So, normally, I have a lot of yellows. But I'm skipping some. There. After putting in yellow, you can now put your brilliant orange. See, it's nicer kasi when the paper has already absorbed the water. So when you put in the pigment, concentrated amount of pigment, so I'm dabbing, try to leave some of the yellow also, okay? Kasi mamaya, yan, dabbing. Actually, you can take a look at the photo reference for the color. I am not looking at it na, no? Kasi, yeah, I have my painting to look at na there. So you can put more of the yellow, but you can take a look at it for reference, additional reference, so that you know where to drop your colors there. So I'm just dropping off colors on the board. Wet paper, wet on wet. Now I'm going to use green yellow. No? So yellowish green yellow. It might look thin now, but later on, believe me, magkaano siya, pusyaw, magiging mapusyaw siya. So it's okay. So there, and then here I'm gonna have a cooler green, like your hooker's green. Add blue. If you want to make your green cooler, add blue or violet. Okay, so I'm mixing my hooker's green because my hooker's green is so green. And I would want to add, let's say, cobalt blue, the initial color that we use for the sky, to somehow, yeah, cool it down. Oh, yeah, we put masking there. We put masking. I remember we put masking. We're using the colors to separate the trees, no? So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I separated the trees using a different color for each of them. Like this tree is one color, this tree is another color, and so on and so forth. So that's one way of separating them. Also, trees is not my forte, okay? When Nina and Michelle showed me their work, kinabahan na ako kasi puno talaga. Oh no, sabi ko, why trees? Okay, okay, there we go. So I am dabbing now yellow-green on this part. Ang dami akong ad-lib, no? Okay, so okay lang. This is just a reminder for me that there's a branch later on. It could be yellow if you want to maintain this as a light one. Let it dry for a while. Ito, nakukulangan ako. So, let's add more. So, if you have Viridian green, mas maganda ang Viridian green eh. I like Viridian green than Hooker's green. So, Viridian green, add a little bit of blue. Okay. This time, I'm adding phthalo blue. Pero masyado siyang bright. So, let's add violet. Yan. So, to have a cooler green. Cooler green over here. Tada! If you have indigo blue, pwede din. Yan. So, dali nag-reflect kasi. Yan, so that you know what I'm trying to do. There. So, basang-basa pa siya right now. And pag basang-basa, you can only lay down colors. Mamaya ko na siya gagalawin. And then here, let's wet this one. I'm gonna use, kasi mga bark to ng trees, no? Let's use umber. So I wet the surface and now I'm putting umber. Okay, umber. Okay. And then probably here later on we can make it darker. Yeah. Did I mask this one? I know I masked that one. Until here, no? Until this pathway over here. That's umber. This is a very light wash. So when this one dries, ano pa lang to? This is your first layer. Now, I wanted to show this because yun nga, para hindi mapusyaw yung color, no? And also to show you the difference kapag cellulose ang paper nyo. So, when we dry this off, iba yung magiging itsura niya. Now, let's complete the washes. Now, I want to complete the washes now. Kasi sayang eh. And then we'll have, of course, same thing. You have yellow, a warm yellow for your base color. Okay, warm yellow for the base. Oh no, nawala ang aking screen. Why? May tumatawag. Bakit ka tumatawag? Okay.
In demand ka.
May tumatawag. Siyempre, hindi ko siya magalaw, no? Dahil nga, naka-lock. Okay, there you go. Am I in Zoom now?
Yes.
Hilulo niya yung
Orientation na lang. Oo.
Yeah. Alam ko na yung ino-order kong prutas kasi. Dumating na siya. Kaya, ayan, there you go. Okay, so yellow. I put yellow. There. Sino ang tumatawag sa akin? Who is calling me? Do not disturb naman ako ah. Okay. There. Sabi ko, in a meeting. Okay, there, yellow. So this is very harsh. So let's try to fix that. Yan, yellow first. And then while it's wet, you can now put other colors such as the olive green. And I'm just dabbing with a brush. Okay, olive green. Of course, your orange over here. Siyempre, green with orange. Yan. Parang burnt sienna yung napulot ko. Gusto ko orange. Let's get brilliant. There. Orange over here on this area. If you take a look at your reference photo, pababa siya, di ba? So, you have to make this darker. Itong part na to para mukhang bumaba siya. And then, change the tone. Okay, so from green, mag-change tayo to orange and brown. Again, first layer. Yan. Just make this part darker. Okay. And let's go back to green. Olive green. Green, yellow, and olive green. Almost same color nga siya. Yan. So, there. And to finish the wash, we're finishing the wash. This one is the lightest one. We're gonna make this darker later. Let's put on, ito, no? Let's wet it first. This is the shadow of the chair, eh. Pero baka gawin na lang nating ano yan. Yeah, this one would bleed. Sige, let it bleed. Gusto ko siya, ayan. Diba? Di may reflection na siya. There, but it should be lighter, no? This one should be lighter. Okay, and later we will define this area. We'll define that area. Okay? Let's see kung anong color yan mamaya. You can always drop color. Pretend that's the chair later. Let's color it blue para makita natin. So just let the shadow drop. It will create Parang lake kasi to eh. These are fishermen. Yan. And this is my first wash. Okay, you think it's very, but it's not, no? Hindi siya, tamo, I will show you pag dinry natin. Mapusyaw pa rin siya. For my taste, no? Mapusyaw siya talaga. Okay, that's your first wash. Hinga muna kayo. First wash. Okay, I'm gonna dry it with the heat gun. Yan, no? Ganda. Pag, ito yung dapat, kaya tayo hindi nag-heat gun. Once na nag-heat gun ka, masiset natin permanently to eh. Like the shadow over here. Once na nag-heat gun ka, it's still flowing, diba? Ang ganda niya. That's the thing. Kaya hinahayaan natin siya dapat matuyo by itself, no? But, if you are already happy, you can set it na. Set it with the heat gun. So, magsa-stop na siyang mag-bleed. Yan. Mag-ano ka na. You're gonna decide whether you're gonna add a second layer, a third layer for your wash, or you're happy na with what you have. Yan. So, I'm going to, my paper will warp again because, hindi nga ako nag-tape. Paul Ruben, 300 GSM, 50% cotton. Ganyan siya kaganda din, no? But this one would look different on 100% cotton. Probably kung 100% cotton ginamit ko, okay na ako sa first wash. And let me just see how this one will look like. If you put another layer. But on my first try, nag-ano talaga ako. Nag-second wash pa ako. Let's dry them. Now it looks so horrible at this point. because wala siyang definition. And I think that's part of the process, no? Ako, I enjoy this part the most. Dito lang ako nag-e-enjoy. Yung susunod na, hirap na ako. Okay, the detailing part is harder for me. If I can do it in one go, mas madali. Mas masaya. Ayan, no? I think the masking fluid is working. The gum arabic is working now. Pero I like that, oh. So nice. Kasi trees siya, di ba? Trees are organic. So, maganda na organic yung flow niya. Ano, no? Sige, tanggalin natin tong aking maduming board para mas ma-appreciate niyo siya. Napakadumi kasi ng board ko, no? Ayan. And there you go. So, oops, si Daisy. Hold on. I think I have delivery. Okay? Michelle, please take over for a while.
Okay. So guys, again, we have the giveaway. Like what Nina mentioned earlier, we have generous sponsors who have committed to giving us really nice giveaways starting last month. Okay, we're going to announce the September winner very soon, so stay tuned for that. That's I forgot the hashtag, but I think it's hashtag WCA 1K giveaway. Okay, so we have you and I, we have terrain markers, we have KMB studio, and we have Beth back. Ang bilis talaga ni Beth. Okay.
Yeah, it's delivery. Okay, so this is 10 by 15, ano to eh? 11 by 15. Magle-layer pa ako ng isa. One more layer. Para happy na ako sa color niya. This is a happy wash na. Okay. I like it na. I think I got the colors this time correctly. Okay. Because I know na the paper is 50% cotton. Nung una parang nasanay ako na ano eh. Okay, there. So, since this is already dry, let me just put another layer. The second layer will be for the definition of some of your leaves and for the shadow sa trees mo, no, para magkaroon siya ng konting volume. Okay, so let's see. And then the third one will work with the branches of the tree. Now this one, okay, this is the part that I hate the most in trees, no? Creating the foliage. And I have tried all brushes. All brushes. So, ibig sabihin, kamay ko talaga may diferensya. Ibig sabihin, hindi ko maintindihan kung paano ginagawa ang foliage. So, please pardon me in creating this foliage. So, I'm gonna put orange. Okay, I am just using this Chinese brush. It's wolf hair. Dry it a bit. And that's the reason why I asked Susan for the foliage because, yun nga, I'm in the search for really nice brushes. Probably hindi ko lang talaga makita iba kong brush ngayon. Ito lang ang nandito. So, I'm trying my best to, I'm using quinacridone, I know, not quinacridone. Yeah, quinacridone burnt orange. No, it's a darker brown. You can also use your other brown to create shadows. And, ayan, no, kasi lang para may difference with the orange. Kasi nagiging blob of color siya. So, let me put you closer. I'm gonna put this closer so that you can see what I am doing. There. Yeah. So, I am dabbing it with orange. You can also try a red-orange para magkaroon ng difference. But this one has to be dry talaga in order for you to create. So, you can use a stiff brush for this. Okay, so I'm just creating. Ito yung matagal. Naiinip ako dito. Sobra. Okay. For Michelle, probably relaxing ito. But for me, naku, inip na inip ako.
OC ka kasi.
Hindi, mainipin lang ako. Yeah, I'm very mainipin. Now I'm changing to green. And I'm removing the water. And I am trying to create foliage. Okay. Now add some water. Kasi second layer siya, no? So it needs to have parang, actually you can treat this as your shadow na eh. And then the rest, parang bunch. Yan. Now, sa simula talaga, while you're doing it, parang walang nangyayari. Alam mo yun? Parang, it's a blob of paint. Ganyan lang siya. And it will clear out once you have your branches. Tsaka mamaya, kapag nagpahinga ka na. Pero while you're doing it, magulo siya. Okay? So, actually, when I did my work, sabi ko, ano ba to? Ang gulo-gulo niya. But then, basta tiwala lang sa sarili mo. Ganun eh.
Di ba nga sabi nila, trust the process. Totoo yan Di ba pag sa watercolor, parang before it gets beautiful, it's messy muna.
Super. And this one will make you, you would feel super messy talaga. Like you feel that you ruined the painting already. Ganun yung feeling ko kasi nung ginawa ko siya. And then I'm going back to this one, no? You can add, yan. Foliage pa din. Walang kamatayang foliage. Pag gusto nyo mag-change ng brush, pwede din. And at the same time, creating shadows. Try to leave the layers you had prior to the second layer. Yan! Hay, salamat! May nangyayari na po, mga kaibigan. Something is happening na sa painting. Kasi this is the part talaga na napagod ako. Parang feeling mo walang nangyayari, pero akala mo lang yon, meron pala. Okay. There. This one, I'm trying my best to make it light. Kasi nasa likod siya. And then this one, I'm trying to move it forward. Kung feeling nyo na sobrahan dito, pwede nyo bawasan yan. Like what I feel right now. Yan. I'm smooshing it with the brush. Yan. O, diba? Di nabawasan siya. There. And now, to create more volume naman sa baba, Ayan, that's the second layer. Oh, masaya na ako. Second layer. Nabuhayin natin yung this part, no? So, good luck po sa mga sumusunod sa akin. Sorry. This is umber. I am having a milky consistency of umber on this part. Umber kasi is a greenish brown. So, it's very nice talaga. Yan. And then later on, we'll have a darker sepia brown. Yan. So, tanggalin na natin sila. Huwag natin pahirapan yung sarili natin. I remove all the details that you see here. Okay. Remember, we have gum arabic in the people. Okay, there. And remember, we have a lamp over here. There. I'm trying to remember what's happening in the diagram. And then I am trying to lift this one because this is the lightest side. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And then last foliage would be for this one naman. So ito, kailangan talaga natin ng texture. So let's start with green. This one is darker because mayroon kang shadow from the two fisherman na to. Okay, leave some white. And then change. You can use umber again for the brown color. Yeah, I use brown. And then green. And then orange. And then burnt sienna. Ganda ng orange. Hindi ko nakuha ngayon yung orange. Okay, yan. Yeah, something is happening. Yeah, natuwa ako pag may nangyayari. So, that's the second layer. Ang ganda na ng reflection. Masaya na ako sa kanya. Happier. And this is the nice thing about autumn. No? Changing, yung ano nga ni Michelle, title niya, Changing Leaves, no? The change of the season. Sana sa atin din, magbago na rin. Okay, although in the Philippines we don't have autumn, but it's a nice, yeah, there you go. Yep, I'm happy with the colors. So next, dry them off. I'm drying it. Okay. And then we're gonna remove the gum arabic, and then focus on the people. Let's focus on the people. And then see if we can make, maganda na yung tree sa paningin ko. Okay. I'm drying it off. Let's see kung ano itsura niya talaga. Now, the one with gum arabic is glossy. That's why you can identify it. Dumi ng kamay ko, ladies and gentlemen. Kuha siya ng paint. Okay. I'm just drying the entire thing off. At ngayon, galit na sa akin si Michelle kasi nakita niya nag-warp ang papel ko. Okay.
Alam mo yan, hirap na hirap ako pag nakikita nagwawarp ang papel.
Actually, galit na galit siya. Ayaw niya ng warp paper, which I don't mind. Okay, let's just show you what I have right now. Tada! Yay! I'm so happy with what I have. Okay, bakit ba kasi ayaw umangis itong camera ko? Diba pag demo, ang daming nangyayari.
Ang ganda na ng reflection. Diyan naman ako hirap yung reflection.
Okay, tubig lang. Ibagsak mo lang yung tubig. Yan, sandali ha. Hanapin natin. Yan, dito. Okay, there you go. How about you? Okay. Kasi feeling ko tayo. Yan, ganyan na siya ngayon. This is the second wash. Yay! Hi, salamat. Okay, now I'm gonna remove all the gum arabic in all of the people para makita nyo. So, let's remove. You need tissue for this to be sure. Pero I use Windsor, so dapat di ako mahirapan in removing it. So, let's wet. Ah, ang ganda niya talaga. Promise. Konting ano lang. Tada, wala na. Okay. Although I haven't tried yet on cotton, so for those who are trying it on cotton, let me know. Cellulose, napakadali niyang tanggalin. Tada, oh. Kita niyo ba yun? Magic.
Ang dali nga, no?
Diba? Wet lang. Tapos, ay, nag-tissue pala ako, no? Nag-tissue kasi ako. Pero kaya siya, no? Kaya siya ng brush lang. Okay, there. And I'm pretty sure mas maingat kayo sa akin. Mas, lalo na yung mga super OC people out there. I know they can do better than me in details kasi mas maingat sila. Ako po ay hindi maingat. I'm the rarest human being na maingat. So I'm trying to remove the gum arabic in this person. Kasi pati paglagay ko ng gum arabic kanina, oh, ayan, oh, kasi tanggal na yung gloss, oh. But it's okay if some of the, colors merged with the person. Sa akin, okay yan. Mas madali ang trabaho ko. Yan. And then, here, sa mga tao dito, let's try to remove. It's easier. Actually, you can lift this, no? Pero, yun, sa cotton, medyo mahirap magtanggal ng, ng kulay, no? So, probably the gum arabic will work there. But since this is Paul Rubens, I think the paper has something to do also because Paul Rubens is liftable. So, let's try, no? Ito, walang gum arabic. Basain ko siya. Let's try to lift. Oh, mabilis din mag-lift eh. Tada, diba? But not as white as when you have gum arabic. Okay? It can be, parang you can soften some of the areas. Yan, like this one. This one has gum arabic, kaya tingnan nyo, maputi siya sa area na yon. Yan. There. So, dapat, pati paglagay nyo ng gum arabic, matino, no? Okay, kanina, mabilis ang paglagay ng gum arabic. Nakalimutan pa. Then this one also, the cart. We have placed gum arabic there a while ago. Napatakan ko pa ng paint. There, the cart. And lastly, the lamp. Ito yung lamp. Tingnan natin. Tada! Yan! O, diba? Kita nyo? It's amazing. Wala lang. Na-amaze lang po ako. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna go to the different people or we can do the trunks first. Okay, so ako mas gusto ko yung trunk para tapos na po ang ating mga puno. Alam niyo naman kung gaano ko ka ayaw ang trunk. I'm using a rigger brush. I'm gonna use a rigger brush and a big one for the wolf hair again because I can control this better. Hindi siya matubig katulad po nito. Sobrang tubig nito. I find this hard to control. This is mixed hair, Chinese brush. White on the outside, black inside. So, ibig sabihin, softer, no? Softer than this. This one is stiffer. I like it better, less watery. And then also my rigger. Okay. So these are for the finer brush, for the finer branch of the trees. So let's try. Let's try, I want sepia. Let's mix sepia, a dark brown, sepia, with the red brown, pero more of the sepia. Okay, because red brown is too red. And I want to somehow kill that red. Sobrang, ayan. So now I have a dark one. I put umber also. Because red brown is super, what do you call that? Super red. Okay. So I'm going to dry it a bit. And I'm going to put the trunk over here. So there's a trunk. And then taper it off. Okay. Diba mukha na siyang puno? Yay. Kahit pa paano, mukhang puno. Okay, there we go. Like what I've told you, trees are I'm afraid to paint trees. Sobra. Although, fun siya, like what Michelle did a while ago. Parang hindi ako natakot sa trees kanina. Parang madali lang siya. Parang. Kasi I tried eh. I tried painting along. With Nina. Kay Michelle hindi na. Hindi ko na kaya. Yan. There. And then with your rigger brush, for the finer branches. So, you can also skip. Try to skip some of the leaves. Yan. O, diba? Try to skip and try to stop. Like what my Chinese painting teacher always tells us, when you create this, you have to pause. So, pause and then continue. Pause and then continue. And avoid the why. So, it's trying to tell us to avoid why. Puro why. Kailangan magsanga-sanga siya. Okay? Yan, si Glenn makaka-relate sa akin yan. Chinese painter yan si Glenn eh. Tada! O, diba? May kahit pa paano may nangyayari na sa kanya. Okay, there you go. Now, this is the part that I enjoy the most din. Kasi parang, it's either masira ko siya or maganda siya lumabas later on. Yan. So, branches over here. If you take a look at the reference photo, you can see brown areas over here. Pero make it light. Yan. Just putting some trees over there. Lighter. Yan. Pag in case na dark yung nagawa mo, alam mo kung anong ginagawa ko, just to lighten it. I have tissue and then damp. O, di mukha na siyang light. Okay, there. White. But of course, mas maganda, first time nakuha nyo na siya, di ba? Yung light na siya talaga. Yan, there. So, you find it dark, just get a wet tissue and then damp. O, di magla-lighten yung color niya. Okay na yan. Next. What else? Dito, no? Ito, let's add some sepia or umber when you're on this part. So, lagay tayo dyan. They call this calligraphy strokes. So, if you want to do calligraphic strokes, by all means, play with your brush. I'm using the rigger brush. Yan. Play with your brush. Vary the thickness of the trunk. Try to avoid Y's. Make them connect. Yan. Okay, there. And try to take a look at your work once in a while so that you would know. Okay. There. Now I'm going to focus on some of the branches, yung tree trunks over here. So, mga brown over there. Syempre, no, may mga trees, kunyari, at the back. Okay, also trees here, also. Meron na namang nagdo-doorbell. Wait lang po, Michelle.
Okay, guys.
Almost done. I'm giving you time to catch up. Yes po.
Speechless ako. Hindi ko alam kung anong sasabihin ko. Feeling ko naman kasi makakabalik si Beth right away.
Okay, please wait.
Okay. So guys, like what Beth said earlier, yung sa branches, no? Again, it's something that you learn as you continue practicing. Kasi lalo na yung pag-branch out ng mga thinning branches. Okay, Beth is back.
Thank you. Sorry. There we go. Yan. O, diba? Ganda niya na. May nangyayari na, diba? Kung nag-give up ka na at an earlier stage, tinapon mo na yung papel mo, sayang yung papel. At least natuto ka. Before kayo magtapon ng papel,
True.
mag-aral muna kayo. Sagarin nyo na lahat ng mali. Yung ganon. So, I'm putting some of this over here. Just adding some details, no? Para lang ma-complete natin. Yan. May nangyayari na ba? Yeah? Okay, sagad na natin hanggang dito. Para kunyari may perspective tayo. If you see that perspective, nandito ang ating vanishing point. As you see, the people are going over here. And also, if you can observe the, the pathway, no? So, papunta siya dito. Samantalahin natin to kasi may nakikita akong light area. Yan. And there. So, from here, we can now add more details. Yung cart. Let's add red. Okay. Red talaga, no? Red yung nakita ko eh. And then, yellow-orange. So, I'm mixing my yellow and my brilliant orange to create a sort of yellow-orange. And trying to merge those two colors. And for this cart, yan. And then, let's use indigo blue for the details of the cart. Yan, no? Yung parang ano niya. Okay, let me just put it closer again. Yan. So, ito yon indigo blue, yung ginamit ko. I use indigo blue. And then, of course, you can use other colors for your cart. Let's say phthalo blue. Any color, no? Cart na yan eh. So, you can have the freedom. Okay. And then, I'm gonna use indigo blue for the wheels. Parang may wheels dyan. You can mix your indigo blue and your brown. You're gonna have a dark color. Yan no, actually indigo blue pa lang to pero dark na siya. There. So, just putting some colors for the edges para lang mabuo yung cart. Cart na walang nakabantay. Okay, there you go. So, this is a bark of a tree. Probably we can add branches over there. Yeah, we can put branches over there. So, dapat di kayo maubusan ng brown. Like, nararamdaman ko ngayon na ubusan ako ng brown. Okay, and this is a signage. So, let's finish that signage now. You can add orange color, green color, any color that you like. Okay, and then let's just define the edges. You can use your indigo blue to define the edges and the feet. Now you can use brown. So where this signage is, and let's put a shadow at the back para naman hindi siya mukhang nakatayong signage, no? Okay, there. And then I'm just gonna make this one darker. So I have defined all the areas. Kasi when you look back, yan no, parang gaan pa rin yan. So I'm gonna add darker colors. So brown lang to. This is umber. Adding umber to some of the areas because I feel they are too light. Sa akin, it's too light. There. It's already okay. Yan. Tada! Yep. And then probably we can put foliage later on this part. For now, let it be. So I'm defining the pathway already. Let's define that pathway. Okay, there. Next is the person, the people. Okay, this is gonna be fast lang. Choose any color you like. I can choose your mga powerful colors nyo, no? Like, in this case, you can use your mga pyrrole reds, mga cadmium red, cobalt, your cobalt colors. So, for the flesh, you can use yellow ochre. In painting the figure, kailangan ano lang muna eh. First wash, and then let it dry. Ayan, I use yellow ochre. Mamaya na yung shadow. Kasi kapag nagkulay na tayo now, this one is closest to me eh. So, I want warm colors for this particular person. So, meron siyang kamay, no? I just want to know where the kamay is. There. Like, this is the parang damit niya. Yan. Fall, no? So, if it's fall, medyo malamig. So you can use the dark colors for the feet. Kunyari, ito yung feet niya. I'm just coloring it. Yan. And just shaping it the way the sketch does. Okay. And you can color use your cobalt blue, cobalt green. Let's use green for the chair. You may use any color you like. Yun lang po nadampot ko. Dapat cobalt yan, but hindi siya lumabas. Sandali lang. Ibig sabihin, okay, there we go. Yan. It's supposed to be, yan, cobalt blue. Cobalt turquoise yung pinulot ko. There, and let's complete this one. Okay. So, mamaya ko na i-complete yan. Let it dry for a while. Yellow ochre for the hand. So, just for me to mark na may kamay dyan, no? Later, we're gonna have the pole, the fishing pole over here. The hard thing about human figure kasi when you're doing it now, you have to be patient for the first layer and then add the second layer. Okay, next, or yung mga shadow mo and all. Next is this person behind, cobalt blue for the jeans. Yan, cobalt blue. And then naka-coat siya, no? So, let's try to put yellow, orange. Less water, better. Yan. And then you have to let it dry if you want to add shadows. If it's bleeding, that's very nice. Let it bleed. So, but again, less color, better. Now, let it dry. Nakatalikod naman yan. So, don't worry about it. Ito, merong crib, no? So, bakit ko ba nilagyan ng madaming tao? Ang daming tao. So, orange. Naka-coat din siya kasi it's cool. Autumn is a autumn. Very cool, no? So, naka-red coat siya. And then, let's have indigo blue for the hair. And then, wala na tayong magagawa. Let it be muna for a while. Yellow-orange for the baby's crib. Less water. Okay. And then, the other person. Wow, ang linis ng kamay ko, mga kaibigan. Let's use indigo blue. For the face, let's color it yellow ochre, no? For the face, let's color it yellow ochre. Tada. And then let it bleed. That's fine. Okay. So, I'm going to... Oh, meron pa akong dalawang tao pala. Okay. 2 more people. Let's color the cap blue. Let's color the cap blue. Ito, si Kuya. Team blue siya. Okay. And then this one, let's color it orange. Orange. And brown yung damit niya. Brown yung pants niya. Yan. And then the chair. Pare-pareho ba kayo ng chair? Pwede. Cobalt green for the chair. Cobalt green. So, for human figures, normally we use the mga opaque colors natin, no? Yan. So, the reflection can remain as is para same kulay sila. Yan. And then, let it dry, no? So, we have to let it dry. Yellow ochre for the face. I keep forgetting the face. So, even if wala siyang facial features, at least you have parang resemblance man lang. Not, yan, may flesh yan. So, add yellow ochre. I added yellow ochre. There. And we let it dry for a while before we add the colors. Okay. So, started to get shape. Merong white doon. That's the lamp. Okay, let it be. Okay, let it be. At alam ko po na mahaba ang painting, so mamaya na po tayo mag-lunch. Konti na lang. May class ba ako? Oo, may class pala ako mamaya. There we go. Just wait for it to dry a bit, just a bit. Let's heat gun para matapos na tayo. Pero in terms of trees, tapos na po tayo. Happy na ako sa trees. But I think I'm gonna add a few more parang foliage over there. Maliliit lang. And a few more shadow, no? Shadows for the people. Kasi nakalutang pa sila right now. They're floating right now. So let's just wait for the watercolor, for the water to dry a bit. O, di ba para silang nag-glow? That's because we lifted it a while ago. Okay. Let's add a little bit of foliage over here. Habang meron pa. This is the green. Add lang tayo. Dry brush. And then just add. Yan. Ag-add lang ako ng konting foliage over here. Just to complete the look, no? Yan. And then, we can now add shadows to the people. So, yung mga complete natin. Okay. Highlight lang, just to differentiate it. Yan. Okay, just want to differentiate it. And also shadow. So, any dirt on your palette would do. Lagay tayo ng shadow at the back. Yan. Of these people. Naglagay lang ako ng shadow. Okay, there. Also here, sa kanya, let's put a brown, no? Brown, para warm colors. Para lumutang siya. Okay, before we put on the fishing pole. Yan, shadow. Dark color lang. I use dark brown for this, and you can use green for these people over here because yung background nila is green. Yan, para lumutang lang sila ng konti. Yan, green. So, while you're at it, dinefine mo na rin yung yan. There you go. So, you added some texture over there. Now, you have to lift because sumablay ako doon. Okay, there. I lifted a little bit. Yan. And then, you can add a little bit of foliage on this side as well. Add tayo. Para hindi siya mukhang, we need it to be textured, no? Yan. Textured. That's the thing about foliage. It needs to be textured. That's why your brushes should be magandang pang texture. So, whatever color is at the back, yun lang yung dinadagdag ko. Okay? So, I'm just adding foliage, no? Green, olive green. Yan. So, whatever you are adding now, it will add shadow to whatever you have layered on kanina. Okay, there. Just added more to give it more volume and of course to define nga these people na dapat may shadow at the back. Eh, parang feeling ko hindi pumantay. So, there. Yan. Ayan. I'm happier now with the colors. There you go. Yes. Hey, next. The lamp na lang. Promise, lamp na lang. At saka a little bit of color on this lady over here. So, dito, shadow on defining the yan. Dinefine ko lang ng konti yung kanyang damit, no? Para mas makita siya. Yan. Okay, there you go. Just lifting some pag sumobra. Okay, and then, of course, a little bit of color detail on the cart. Konti lang. Dry, cream consistency na. Yan. Okay, and then lastly, shadows on this. Although malayo naman na sila, konting shadow lang on the clothes. And on the, dapat may shadow sila. So, any color on your palette, pwede na yun. Okay, there. And this one looks floating also. Pabagsakin natin siya para hindi siya lumutang. There. And I'm gonna glaze it a little kasi sobrang white niya. Yan. Ginlaze ko lang ng konting color. I'll put umber at the back. Okay, so defining the trees now. Yan. Okay, there. Yep, and I think I am done. Tada. Oh, hindi pa pala ako done. Almost done. Yung fishing pole na lang and the lamp. That's it. And we are done after that. Okay, so let me dry it one last time to set the colors. And I kinda like that. Yung mga bleeding na ganyan, gustong gusto ko yan. Yan, yung ganyan. Mukha siyang texture kasi. That's why it's nice.
Ang galing. In fairness, 1 hour lang yan, ha?
Talaga? Yay! Hindi ba ako
Maganda. Lumampas ka na ng 12, pero kasi hindi ka naman nag-start talaga ng 12, ng 11, di ba?
Ano oras ba ako nag-start? Di ko alam eh.
Mga past 11.
Okay, there. And last na. Yun na lang pole. And the fishing, ano nila, yung mga fishing rods nila. Yun, ang galing. Nahanap ko yung term. Kanina ko pa iniisip. Ano bang tawag dun? Yan. So, hirap pala pag portrait orientation, no? Parang ayaw niya magkasya sa screen.
Yes. Kaya pansin mo, halos puro landscape ako.
Oo, ang hirap eh. Ang hirap ng portrait.
Kasi pag inano mo siya, pag zoom out mo pa siya, baka masyado na siyang maliit, di ba?
Oo. Hindi na nila makikita. Okay, last. Rigger brush. Come on, Rigger. Don't fail me now. Combine your indigo blue with your sepia. That's a dark color. Very dark. Actually, kung kaya ng indigo blue, pwede na eh. Pero if you want it darker, mix it with sepia. Ganda niya. It's a really dark color, but it's not black. Siyempre, tiningnan ko daw ang aking reference kasi hindi ko alam kung ano itsura nito. There. Just straight rods over there. And this one. Woohoo! Muntik nang hindi mag-connect. There, and the lamp. So, just create a really nice straight line for the lamp. Yan. Dinefine lang natin yung lamp. Okay, and I think we are done. Thank you so much, everybody. Done na daw ako pero hindi pa gumagalaw pa rin yung brush ko. Wait lang. May nakikita pa ako eh. There you go. And the autumn in the park is done. So,
Nice! Ang ganda!
thank you everybody. Thank you Michelle, Diyos ko Lord. Kung alam nyo lang. So again, everyone, we are inviting you for the... Michelle, show yourself. Nina,
Okay.
there, show yourself. Ayan.
Hello!
Andiyan pa ba si Nina? Nina!
In fairness, andyan pa siya. Andyan pa siya.
Okay, so there, thank you so much, everybody, and we hope you like our theme for October. Kindly subscribe if you want to know more of the process videos of all these topics in the Google Classroom, and we'll be discussing it for the whole month of October. And also, Michelle, the giveaways?
Yes. For September, we have 3 sets of U&I mixed media pads and their nice black pencils. So again, like what Nina said earlier, maybe some of you may have overlooked the announcement before. You still have the chance to join, okay? So just post your artworks. If you have already posted your artworks, just add the hashtag WCA 1K giveaway. Okay?
WCA 1K giveaway. And
Yes.
lastly, ito dapat ang sasabihin ni Ninya. Ninya, kung naririnig mo kami, we have the Art Tindahan Budol Night on October
Yes.
29, 7 p.m. So,
Masaya yan.
ready? Tingnan natin kung ano yung pwede nating mabudol at pwedeng ibudol sa atin on that night. So,
Sweldo yan.
thank you everybody and have a hearty lunch, everyone.
Happy weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.